Hey everybody, it's Blake,
And this is Drew.
and you're listening to Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Controllers podcast.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 120 of the podcast. If you listen for a while and know how we kind of do things on the podcast, you know it's about time for a guest, or it is time for a guest, guess I should say. And we announced the last episode we'd be talking about Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. There's only one person we decide to ever talking about Final Fantasy VII with, so you know that who we got joining us. We the one and only Clyde.
Oh, y'all are way too kind to me. Thank you so much for having me back, Blake. Thank you, Andrew. I'm so excited to talk about Rebirth with y'all. It is always a blast. And just cards on the table for all viewers. I didn't claim this monopoly. Y'all recruited me to have a monopoly on Final Fantasy. So,
Hey, this
uh,
our relationship started all the way back when I was on one of your original podcasts about Final Fantasy VII. So we
that's
could talk
fair.
about other games for sure, but like you're just locked into the Final Fantasy VII world with us.
I do love it. It is such a treat to spend time in that world, and I'm really excited to hear how y'all felt about the game.
There are worse things to be locked into.
They're the worst games to be locked into.
At least that will
That's fair.
hey, let's talk about My Little Pony every time. It's
For sure. So I mean, I want to keep this thing moving forward. I guess I don't want to. So we talked about a little off podcast that me and Blake have like I called it a positive slash negative experience of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. The game is like any like remake was like this. The game will be divisive for audiences, I'm sure. I will
Yep.
say was mostly positive for in the beginning parts. It's the middle parts where the game kind of drags a bit, and then kind of how they handle the ending. But I don't want to just bash this game for an hour and a half. So I want to start with like excitement, what you're looking forward to, what you were hoping would be in the game, and stuff like that, and your general thoughts of when you first start, like or even where the game picks up.
yeah.
It's pretty interesting,
Yeah.
I thought. So either one of y'all, Blake or Clyde, got some opening thoughts?
Let it rip, Blake. I want to hear your thoughts.
Well, the fact that they just jump right into it, like the game starts in calm with the flashbacks in Nibelheim. Like you get to Nibelheim immediately.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Yep.
whoa, I mean, that's where the game should have picked up, but I wasn't expecting I thought they were going to try to like beat around the bush a little bit or something, but they're like, no, here you go, Nibelheim, your Cloud, this is Sephiroth, let's do this, guys.
How did y'all feel about that prologue? Did you like the prologue and kind of starting with the flashback? And I'll say just for listeners, cards on the table. I also really liked this game, but I acknowledge there's quite a bit of spaghetti here. There's a lot of there's a lot of stuff here that didn't work, and a lot of it won't work for diehard FF7 fans. But I felt for me, and I'm curious to hear y'all's thoughts on this, but I loved that they opened with the flashback, and I mean, legitimately, when they built, because we all know where the flashback's going, we all know it ends in abject
Yeah.
horror and him setting letting the buildings on fire. When they got to that shot of Sephiroth in the fire, I was shaking. I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is so crazy! This is so epic!" Like I even knew it was coming, and I was shaking. Like how did y'all feel about that flashback and that prologue?
Should we do a spoiler warning? Because we're going to talk about everything.
Oh, well, we probably should leave with a spoiler warning. We are we,
Yeah,
we are gonna, for those of people who didn't play, because Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. We played it. It's one of the few games me and Blake, and I'm sure you play immediately as it come out. Like there was
Like
no
the same
waiting.
week.
Play it. So we played it like within a couple of weeks we had it beat, all the story done. So we're gonna in this podcast, we got to talk about all of it. There's especially important stuff near the end of the game that has to be talked about, and
Yep.
plot stuff and plot differences that are probably throughout the game we're going to talk about. So if you haven't played this, it's a very plot heavy game. If you don't want spoilers, this is not going to be the podcast for you. So anybody about that, go knock out this 150-hour RPG real quick and then come back to this podcast.
I mean, if you mainline the story, it's like,
how do you know what your time was? You said you mainlined, right, Clyde?
I did mainline the story, and I'll admit I also struggled. I wiped quite a few times, especially towards the end. But I think I was around about 60 hours, 40 to 60, somewhere in there, maybe 50.
Right, yeah.
I think
that's what I've heard before. Other people
like 100 almost.
Yeah, I think I'd like right at 98, and I was doing a lot of. I didn't 100% this game by any means because I was reading online as it was happening. This game is like the hardest platinum trophy that ever exist, and I was like, no thanks.
Jeez, yeah.
But
can I add on to your spoiler warning? Because I think your spoiler warning is appropriate. I also think I would just say if anybody's listening to this and they haven't played Rebirth yet, and they are a diehard fan of the OG FF7, I really would recommend they tune out. And I don't like to say that, but I think there's enough changes that will surprise people, especially OG fans of FF7, that they'll go, "Oh, dang!" Like it's better experienced. I think those moments are better experienced than hearing about them. So if you're listening to this and you are a fan of the original game and you haven't played Rebirth yet, you owe it to yourself. Like they put in thousands of hours of work to make this cool game, and there's enough weird changes there. Just tune out, go play it, come back, listen to the podcast, tell us how you think. Don't let us spoil those weird moments for you because there are quite a few of them and they're definitely bizarre. But I'm excited. I'm excited to get into this with y'all. This is great.
So back to
Nibelheim.
Back
so
to Calm. We got Nibelheim yet. Let's not jump ahead.
It's the flashbacks.
Well, they're in flashbacks. You're in Nibelheim, but you're in Calm having the flashbacks. I thought this part was all handled really well. All this actually stays. Speaking of like plot and stuff like that, this actually all stays really similar to the original game, I feel like, and I think it was done really well. I like, as a fan of the OG, watching for the clues that it wasn't Cloud.
Yep. Yeah.
That stuff's a lot of fun. I feel like the experience is different. Do I kind of wish I didn't know? Maybe, but I think it's experienced two ways. Those who don't know and those who do know that Cloud wasn't actually the guy. It wasn't, it was Zach there the whole time. I mean, Cloud's there, but he's not the guy.
Right.
So, yeah.
But they did handle that really well, and even to the point, like if you're looking at the other guy, he's the other soldiers, kind of doing this number, like
yep.
You can see.
I'm right there with you, Blake. I was catching myself doing that too, being like, that soldier looks conspicuously like Cloud under that, So yeah, I was definitely picking up on those threads too. I'm glad they kept him in the game. I'm glad they kept that there. I think it's great, and obviously it's gonna serve into
we got to talk about
where.
We'll get to the Zach stuff here in a minute because the Zach stuff was very convoluted in this game. I was excited to see more. Excited to see more Zach. I'm kind of jumping ahead of it. I don't want to jump too far ahead. I'm excited to see some Zach stuff. Almost immediately confused by his presence in this game because the game in no way goes into like, how is this happening?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll actually say that's one of my core beefs with this game. I think in this episode, I'm gonna try to mostly go to bat for Rebirth because I really did enjoy the game, and if I was scoring it,
that's what me and Blake always say. When we were mad at this game, when we did get mad at this game, every time I'm trying to interrupt you, Clyde. Every time me and Blake got mad, we were having a conversation. Me and Blake were mad at this game. He was like, "It's a miracle this game exists. We have to stop complaining. Like there's no." Yeah. He said thousands of man hours went into making a remake of a game and you'll see videos now of the characters like the OG 7 and the new 7 side by side in videos, and you're like, Jesus Christ, they didn't have to do this. We didn't have to. We never deserved to get this game, and we still found parts to complain about. And it's just like, it's in there, but like always think about when you hear us complain, listeners, that like this game is incredible. Like it's an amazing feat of technology and everything else and everything about it. But there's problems with every video game.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I do have a couple beefs with the game, and they mostly do center around the handling of Zach, if I'm being honest. I'm really conflicted about how they used or didn't use Zach in this game, and that really bugs me. I will say the thing that I bumped on the most going into this game, getting out of the prologue and going into the game, there was a quote that I was keeping in my mind that was the very last quote from the first game, which is that when you finish the original FF7 remake, the game ends on a black screen that says the unknown journey continues. It is a promise to the player. This is a new story. We are going in a new direction. You don't know, and the shot is on Cloud or Zack surviving, right? The shot is Zack walking into Midgar, and it's like this promise to the player. This is a new FF7. You ain't seen this before. Get your butts ready. We got liftoff. But when I was playing FF7 Rebirth, I felt more or less like I knew where everything was going. I felt like, is this really the unknown journey? Is this really that different? Like
it was a bold statement that they didn't really stand up. They didn't back it up. And I will say, we'll get into all this. Zach's thing doesn't pan out. Like Zach's presence doesn't pan out.
Yeah,
there's still there's another game.
At least another one, right?
He's still there, but I'm just saying.
I mean, they're going to make 3, or they're doing more.
There's gonna be 3. They probably said 3 games. That's it.
Yeah.
But we know what. But anyway, I feel like, and sorry, people hear this. Our thoughts with 3 people, big fan, all over the place. I was gonna say his stuff doesn't pan out. It gets really he disappears for a long time in the story, and then kind of shows up again in the end, and there's timeline stuff going on, and then it just kind of it just stops, and then the regular quote unquote ending you're used to kind of happens, and then you get a after credits thing. You're just like, it just didn't pay off. I was, like I said, when I started, I was excited to see Zach, wondering how they would bring it back around, and then it didn't do anything with him.
100%. That's exactly how I feel. Blake, I imagine you probably felt similarly.
Yeah, unknown journey. Like you said that quote, because I was like, oh, they're going to be going crazy. We predicted some crazy stuff because I went back and I listened to our last episode and stuff that we were predicting, and none of it, some of it happened, but some of the crazier things that we what if they did this?
Yeah,
they didn't happen. Because I think one of my predictions was oh, what if?
Well, they stayed, like you said, they stayed on point. Like Clyde's saying, they end on that heavy. That's a big claim.
It's a ballsy claim, yeah.
And then we hit all we hit all the main story beats, aside from we skip the train sequence of hitting Barrett's hometown. The train sequence is skipped, and something else is skipped too.
That's a good point. I didn't think of that. They'd skip the train sequence in Barrett's hometown.
The train. See, Blake was thinking it would be really cool because it's not. It wouldn't be weird to go back to that. And Blake thinks it would be cool if part 3 opened with that excitement, open with the train going towards, what's this town called? Corel. Opening with the train sequence into Corel, because we could still by the end of this game, with this game's ending, we could still go back and do that. It can happen. There's not any harm in it happening. Blake think this game had a soft opening, kind of like a kind of chill opening, which we all like the flashback, so it's cool. But a bombacious big train sequence opening part 3, that could be cool. But as of right now, they skipped it entirely.
Because it also gives it, again, this is just me thinking out loud, but if they do start with the Corel train sequence, it's a chance that the party doesn't get a chance to mourn Aerith. They get to immediately jump into the action and have to go out saving people's lives, and they're like, this is what she would want. We have to protect the planet. We got to protect people. And it gives them a chance to build on her legacy and not a good chance to mourn. They have to keep going.
Yeah, we'll talk about mourning her in a little bit because of how they handle the ending, how they handle dealing with her in the end.
But
we can go back.
Yes, we bounced all the way back to the end. We need to start in. Do you want to do Calm, or do you want to do the flashback in Nibelheim?
It's fine. I mean, all of that's really is handled well. Like we said, the game hits all the finer points. All the Sephiroth stuff it's all cool. Wandering around, walking around Nibelheim and these new graphics, it's just this is ridiculous. Every time you're walking around talking to people and touching things and just moving around this world in the new graphics. Well, this is the same thoughts we all shared for remake, but we were just in Midgar. It's this, but what I wanted from this remake from Rebirth would be what I got from remake was Final Fantasy VII, but more. Yeah. And that's what this gives you constantly.
Yeah, I completely agree. Y'all should have seen me on launch night. I was watching Sephiroth burn the town afire, and I was eating popcorn going, this is the best timeline. We're living the best timeline right now. I didn't know where the game was going to go, but I was that at that point I was great. And I thought the opening hours of the game were a lot of fun and really, really cool. They did a great job. Things do eventually go off the rails, but Yeah, I guess that's a good kind of segues. How did y'all feel about the open world aspects of the game? Because after that prologue, the game really is kind of brave. It just kind of goes, "Hey, it's a blue sky, it's a green field. Go ham, go." Kind of you're out there living your Breath of the Wild fantasy. How did y'all feel about the open worldness of it?
I liked it the first the first area. The first open area is really not I forget that what they call it, the plains or whatever. It's got
Grasslands.
the grasslands. It's got a name of
Yeah,
some sort. I did like it. I don't like, and this is the where we get into like the fluff is the checking the boxes that they call it the Ubisoft box check for Ubisoft games where you walk across a big map and you just check boxes and do things.
right.
This a lot throughout the game. You don't notice it right here, but obviously you all go to every new area and you start checking boxes. And we got to talk about Chadley because is he the most hated thing to ever happen to Final Fantasy now? Like I don't know. Like he became a meme
He
instantly.
became like a bullied, like
A
people were
bullied
bullying
this
him.
character online, which he's not a real person. What are you doing? But like, I don't know. But we could talk about Chadley. But like I said, the first open part I was enjoying. It was just the repeating it throughout the. Like I said, every new map you just start a new checklist. Every start a new checklist. And my thing when I told Blake about this was there's not that much like stuff to technically see on the original world map of seven. I get that, but there's when you're wandering around these open areas, there's not enough cool stuff to see. Like there's not enough
Mm,
like nods to Final Fantasy or nods. I feel like there should be like a treasure trove of like turning a corner and like, oh, this is cool. This is something cool. I don't know. Yes, I sound dumb because I don't really know exactly what I wanted because there's not really like there's landmarks on the original game, but like it hits those. Like there's the Chocobo farm and then there's the marshes. Like it does the things that are there, but I just kind of
yeah,
wanted just the aimless, just the wandering across a big open map, man. I do that in every other video game I play. I don't know if that's not exactly what I wanted for this. But
yeah. And for context for viewers, I did not engage the checklist. I
really,
actively ran away from Chadley when I played the game. I did
even
not do any side quests. I didn't do any summons. I didn't do anything
even on the
extra.
even on the even on the very first map, you didn't even try.
E- yeah, even the very first map, and the reason was because it was like day one or two, and I was so scared of getting the game spoiled. I was
Yeah.
like, I don't want to have somebody. I was genuinely, y'all gonna laugh at me. I was so worried I was gonna wake up the next day and go to Google News, and someone was gonna be like, "I can't believe they killed Aerith again," or whatever. I was afraid I was gonna read a headline like that, and it was gonna spoil the game for me, and I
Mhm.
didn't want that. So I said, you know what? For this first playthrough, I'm just gonna go to the main story. I'm gonna ignore all the Chocobo landmarks. I'm gonna ignore all the pit stops. I'm gonna ignore all the Chadley stuff. Bye, Chadley. And I just went main story beat to main story beat, and I
You
ignored everything else.
aside, yeah, like you said, aside from having trouble in combat in the later sections, I feel like that's the way to experience this game.
Mm,
We talked about when we both beat it eventually. I was like, man, before Rebirth was coming out, I replayed Remake, of course, to prep myself for Rebirth, and I love Remake. Remake's incredible.
Yes.
It's also
yeah,
not gigantic. I mean, it's big, but it's not Rebirth big. Played through it, loved it. All its side content, like it handles side content really well, I think, in
Yeah.
Remake. But this, man, by the time you don't like, if you've read online now, the staggering amount of side content this game
yeah,
has, and a lot of it seems like fluff. There's so much stuff to do, and like like I said, first map's cool.
yeah,
First map's cool. Second map is that the
The Junon? No, that's
it's probably Junon. It'd
yeah.
be Junon.
I was
Time you
trying
get
to
to the
Junon.
Junon open, like I was already tired of doing it. Like I was already like, oh man, I wonder how
yeah,
long. And also without spoilers for like when we were playing too, I didn't know how far this game went. I
Yeah.
assumed it got
yeah,
to air. I assumed it got to Aerith, but I didn't know how far it went. So it's like, how many open maps are there going to be? There's a
right,
lot. There's quite a few of them. So I think you
yeah,
might have for a first
It's
experience. I
like
don't.
5 or 7.
There's a bunch of them. So I think
yeah.
your overall experience would probably be more positive than ours because you weren't fooling around. Because the best part, I told Blake,
Well,
my favorite parts of this
yeah,
game were when I wasn't playing it, when I was watching
yeah,
my favorite characters I grew up with, when I was watching these cutscenes, watching them interact, anytime they were talking, anytime I was watching this game, I was in love. As soon as I got control of something, I didn't want to do it no more. I didn't want to run around
yeah,
anymore. I didn't like how they changed combat slightly. We could get into
Yeah.
that, but where
yeah.
they changed combat in a weird way, which apparently, from what I gather online, is a net positive. Everybody loves the way they handle combat. I don't like it at all, but that's just
Mm,
me. But anyway,
yeah.
I'm back. So I feel like you might have had the superior experience of just mainlining straight through.
Nice. Well, I lucked out. Don't. This is a judgment-free zone, right? Like Blake and Andrew, y'all
Yeah.
gonna laugh at me too much, but I'm gonna be honest with you. Just between us friends, I did have to put the game on easy mode. I did. I
Oh,
did. And I'm not
okay.
a happy man to admit it. I'm not a proud man to admit it. But I was so afraid of spoilers. I got to the end of the game and I couldn't beat some of the bosses. I was like, oh, do I grind for 20 hours or do I just set it on easy and tell no one and go to my grave with the secret? So I put it on easy. I whipped the boss's button. I'm like, all right, show me the cutscene. But no,
No, you're talking.
I completely
You're
agree.
talking to the right guy. As we say on our podcast, we're easy mode all the way. If we want a hard game, we play a Dark Souls game. That's how we are right now. We're
Oh yeah,
streaming. We're streaming Dark Souls 2 with our cousin. If we're not playing a Dark Souls game or a Souls like, we're easy mode all the way.
I want
Everything is
story
easy
mode
mode.
or baby super like
Super mega baby
oh
mode.
god, what is that thing? In Wolfenstein, the new blood and stuff like that, it's literally baby mode. It's got him with like a bonnet and a pacifier in his mouth. I'm like, that's how I want to play, man.
Yeah.
I want to be able to fight
that's
the final
funny.
boss with the starting equipment and win.
Yeah, that's funny. I completely agree, Andrew. Like I think the best parts of this game were a lot of those moments that we knew were coming, and then they executed them really well. And I think
Mhm.
thinking about the end of the grasslands, we all knew the Midgar
Midgar.
serpent, the
Yeah.
Zolom was going to
Yeah,
come, and we knew like
weird they changed the
yeah.
name.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is weird they changed the name. I agree. I was like, it's the Midgar Zolom. They were like, it's the Midgar serpent.
However-
I was
However
like,
you say that name.
yeah,
It's like the deck.
yeah. I
It's
don't
like
know.
world serpent, which makes sense considering Midgar. It's that particular Midgard and the serpent's based off Norse mythology.
Yeah, yeah.
Midgar and it was
Gotcha.
Jormungandr.
Do you like
Yeah.
so just glancing the game's too big for us to hit step by step. The Chocobo farm stuff, that's technically side stuff, but kind of not really. Did you mosey on through the Chocobo stuff? The Chocobo
I did. I
branch?
whipped through it just the main story stuff.
Okay,
Yeah.
so like I forget what stuff I'm gonna have a problem remembering what stuff you have to touch and what stuff you don't, but like I guess
think you had to
Chocobo, you
do
have to do
one-
Chocobo stuff
You
to
had to
get
do one race around.
and then you
Exactly.
can take the Chocobo
Yeah.
into the swamp, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep. That's exactly right. And then we run through the swamp and we get there. I want to say before we like leave the grasslands or prepare to leave the grasslands, there's one beat that came up a couple times throughout the game, and I'm curious to hear y'all's thoughts on it because it's something that I don't think was in the original FF7, and it felt like a very weird red herring in this game, which is that uh, when Cloud in the party are like starting the game out, Cloud is having these visions of Sephiroth kind of taunting him. Like Sephiroth is like appearing as like a ghost or whatever, or an
Mhm.
illusion in his mind. And Sephiroth keeps implying that the Tifa that's in Cloud's universe isn't necessarily his real Tifa. He keeps being like, you can't really trust her. She's not really your Tifa. She died. And I'm like, did y'all bump on this when
I
y'all are
don't
playing the game as well?
I don't remember that
I
necessarily.
mean,
What
he
I
says some weird stuff like that, but I also think he's just playing with him because, well, also as far as Sephiroth knows, he killed her. He doesn't know
Right.
that she was medevaced and worked on in Corel and stuff like that.
Oh,
But
that's
as far as
fair.
he knows that this is a fake one.
Yeah, I guess I wondered that. Now you never know if this timeline stuff. You never know now that if it's a different. We're not really dealing with different because like we go back to the Zack stuff and the stuff that Zack's experiencing is like a different timeline where Cloud and
Totally
Aerith
different.
are in a bed and Barrett and everybody's dead in Zack's timeline.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like
Super
so
wild.
like,
Yeah.
back to the so like is this a different Tifa? Hell, I don't know.
Mhm.
Yeah. Great.
Um,
Great point, Blake. He might
but
just be messing with him, and he might just be like a fake out. And
Maybe.
but
Just to try to
there is
exert
some
more
weird
control,
stuff.
try to isolate.
I do like how
Yeah.
if you notice when Cloud's talking about now we're going backwards again.
Yeah,
When
yeah.
Cloud's telling a story, and he'll back out sometimes with a party and calm. And Tifa, like
Yeah.
she actually says something like,
No, she doesn't say anything to him. She waits till after she
"Wait till
says
he
it to Aerith.
says to Aerith." Like I forget what she says, but she's like acknowledging that she's like because she was there. She's like, that wasn't
Yeah.
Cloud. Like she says something and kind of acknowledges.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's in the original game. I don't remember
I don't think
her
it
actually
is.
acknowledging. Because actually,
Right.
you're not. I think in the original game, you're not really supposed to know it wasn't Cloud yet. But but I guess they're doing more nods now to her to be like, that wasn't like
Yeah.
that's not how it played out. Something weird's going on. I wish
Yeah.
it kind of did more of that, but I guess you don't really address that flashback again till you get all the way till you get to Nibelheim.
Yeah. I didn't mean to derail us, but I will say
Oh, you're
there's
fine.
some really
This conversation
funky.
can be everywhere.
Yeah, there are funky off-script things that happen with Tifa in this game, and I wanted to plant a flag. They happen really early. Very early, they start doing funky things with
Oh,
Tifa.
we're not even talking.
And
We're not even. We were talking
Yeah.
about when she falls in the freaking Mako, when she falls in the
Yeah,
Mako,
exactly,
falls
yeah.
in the live
Yeah.
stream. What was?
Yeah.
God, we're not even there yet.
We'll
But
get
like
there in a
that
minute.
whole part, maybe we didn't. But the only part of the game where I was confused a lot. But that was like that part where she fell in there and had this whole sequence. I was like, this wasn't in the game. What is happening
Yeah.
here? Like,
What is going on? We are off script here. Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah.
God.
But yeah, let's go back. Zolom I thought it was done really well.
Yes.
I thought the visuals of it were really sick, and that's something that I would say is a recurring theme throughout the game. Is that any of
Looks
the
incredible.
iconic visual? Yeah, it looks incredible from the original game. And yeah, heading into Junon, how did y'all feel they executed Junon? How did y'all feel about the vibes, the art, the kind of like the upper and lower portions of Junon and the canon? What were y'all's thoughts on that whole area and that story sequence?
I liked it. I thought I thought there would be maybe more to lower, but like I should also lead this by saying I was like while we were playing Rebirth, I had started a playthrough of original 7 on my Switch and kind of like speed running it at the same
Yeah.
time, which maybe is not the best way to experience Rebirth while also playing Final Fantasy VII on my Switch and like fast forward, like running through to get to the same story beats to see how it kind of lines up a little bit of a way. But I was like,
That's funny.
yeah, it was a bad way to do it, honestly. And I got ahead of myself, and like I got ahead of myself in 7 because I was fast forwarding, and the game and original 7 is actually quite a bit shorter than you actually realize if you're like running through it. But the original lower Junon is actually much smaller than what you get in Rebirth. You get an expanded kind of, there's more people, there's more to see, there's more of a, like you said, what are your vibes? Like there's more of a vibe to like how they experience, and they talk about like a lot of folks talking about like not seeing the sun anymore because they weren't always below, like there wasn't always this big thing built above them, that this like Shinra came and built this above them and like blocked out the sun, and it changed the way they live their lives and all kinds of craziness.
Yeah. I was really excited to see how they were going to handle Junon. That the music there is so iconic and so fun, and there's so much spaghetti. Like there's like so much random spaghetti there. I think that's one of the things I love most about Rebirth is that they kept a lot of the spaghetti from the original game in, and I'm really proud of them for doing that. It would have been very easy for them to be like, Cloud and the Dolphin, we're gonna write that out, but they kept that in, and I was like, this is ridiculous. They actually put this in freaking a modern ass video game, or so there's a lot of little Easter eggs like that, or a lot of little funny, quirky things they kept in, and I was really proud of them for doing that. I really liked Junon. I thought it was great. I was terrible at the minigame though. The whole the performance minigame, I was terrible at it. I was thinking about the marching one where you're with the crew doing guns. Yeah. I was terrible at that. I failed that horribly. They were like, in last place, Cloud's infantry. You're terrible at this.
I nailed that because it was just like it was the same sequence. It was this kind of the same mini game as the dancing sequence from Remake, and I love the dancing sequence of Remake.
Nice.
So this was the same mini game, and I like the way I like the way it looks, and I like the way they do it all. It's kind of hard to kind of enjoy the video happening behind the buttons because you got to like watch for the timing. I think I got the little trophy or whatever for like nailing that like high score. I'm just like stupid at that kind of stuff.
Second.
Yeah, Blake who tries trying to get I forget there's either a trophy or like there's probably a trophy.
There's a trophy,
but there's like an item. There's like an item you get too for like getting the perfect on it.
Jelly, y'all got gamer skill. I did not. I watched the movie and I was like trying to hit the buttons. I did not do it very well. I'm like, I'm here for the experience. I was like, oh dang, is there an easy mode for this? No, it was pretty bad.
Before we get to upper Junon and lower Junon, there's a really cool thing that I was genuinely excited when it happened, and you didn't catch it when it first happened.
Oh yeah.
Is as you're going into the inn and you're going to the inn to sleep to plan your thing to go up to upper Junon. And Cloud gets a chance to talk to all the members of the party and then go meet Tifa at the very end.
Oh yeah,
and you're walking through. Yeah, you talk to Barrett and you can increase your relationship. And you hear someone talking to Aerith, and you're like, she opens the door. She's, "Hey, Cloud," and you're like, "Who was that?" She's like, "Who was who?" And then Red 13's like, "What's up?" And he walks out because he was talking to her as Nanaki, and Drew didn't catch that he was talking to her as Nanaki.
I wasn't thinking about it.
He didn't realize. And I was like, oh, they're actually doing it. They're letting Red 13 be a kid.
Yeah, 1,000,000%. And it's because the original game didn't have voice acting, so we didn't
tell.
hear that. You couldn't tell. I was also quite puzzled by that. But now that you say that, Blake, it makes complete sense that's what was going on.
Went over my head completely until Blake told me. I felt so dumb. I was like, oh, I guess he was using his other voice when he was talking in private to Aerith. Yeah, but it's
because
cool.
because she knows she can sense
She
it
can sense
about him
who
a
he
little
is.
bit.
Yeah.
Well, plus they were in the prison cells together. I'm sure they spoke.
Well, not
Yeah.
he was kind of like he was all feisty and stuff in
Oh yeah,
the
that's
remake.
true.
Yeah.
And then she calmed him.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, it was great. I thought those interactions were awesome. I thought they give you enough of a teaser to make you wonder, like, wait, is she communing with the planet? Is she talking to somebody else? Like, what is going on here? I really liked it, and the voice acting performance in the game. When I play through these games, I usually play with Japanese voices, and the Japanese voice cast always nails it. They are
Mhm.
so much fun. They bring so much energy to the role, and every character is just every the performance is just sublime. I absolutely am just like I geek
Oh, yeah.
out when the characters are doing their thing, and it's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
We had,
Lower Junon was a lot of fun.
I should say we did play in English.
We did, yeah, we
In
did play it in
for sure.
English, but it's one of those things where I think we've spoken about this before. Like, I don't mind listening. I can read subtitles. I don't mind watching foreign films and stuff
We're
like that.
watching original 1960s Ultraman.
Ultraman.
It's only in Japanese. We're watching that right now.
Dang,
Yeah.
let's go, let's
Yeah.
go. That's awesome.
Yeah.
But
Is
my
that the one
thing
where he
is-
does like the cross with his
Yeah.
Oh,
arms
yeah.
and he does like
Oh,
Shoots
yeah.
lasers.
yeah, like yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah,
and he
it's
shoots
great.
lasers. Yeah, let's go, let's go.
But for me, it's the same thing. It's the same thing we have when we play the Yakuzas. Because the characters actually look Japanese in Yakuza, it felt weird listening to them in English.
Yeah.
So I listened
Yeah.
to it through the Japanese voice acting. But these characters looked so distinctly just not Japanese. Like, it didn't really bother me to not listen to it in Japanese. And plus, we're fans of some
That's
like
fair.
English voice action stuff like that, and I do want to try to support them.
Oh yeah, 100%. That's great.
Isn't Junon where Yuffie catches up
Well, Yuffie gets attacked by the boss, and you have
by
to
the
save her.
boss, and you save her from the boss? Yeah, that
Yeah.
boss wasn't as dramatic as it was in the original, but still
It
a
was
pretty cool boss. Yeah.
It was cool, and then like how it broke up the pier and stuff like that. It was a cool little set piece boss, but it
Yeah.
didn't last forever like some of the other ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, gotta love. When people talk about Yuffie, how her character's really broken. She's like way too powerful in this. I think it's because
Yeah.
she got her own DLC, so they built her character around that DLC, and then they didn't want to spend the time to change how her combat works. So like they bring her overpowered version from the DLC into the main game, and she's just like she's got too many she's just like everywhere you read, they're like the best character in the game, Yuffie. She has all the
Yeah.
elements. She has everything. She's just ridiculous. So
I did not use her. I'm not a Yuffie. I do not shade Yuffie fans, but
Yeah.
her personality is not my thing. And when I'm in my party, I'm like, my bro Barrett, let's go. Like I am not the biggest Yuffie. I rock Tifa Barrett if I get to choose my lineup.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do not usually rock Yuffie. But when my partner Taylor played through it, he also said, Yuffie breaks the whole game wide open, totally
She does.
destroys everything.
Oh yeah.
So
she's better than because of her skill. Again, it's because my guess is because she had a DLC, so her character was in this DLC was designed to be able to handle any situation. And then that makes her more powerful than everybody else in the main game because not everybody has skills to handle everything. She does inherently in build. But anyway, you don't have to use her. Obviously, if you didn't, you don't have to use her. I'm using Clyde, Tifa, and Yuffie most of the game because Tifa is obviously great for staggering and stuff like that. Then Yuffie, if you just play it, you can just play as her. I spent majority of the game playing as Cloud because I'm a vanilla boring guy playing as Cloud. So that's kind of what I spent most of my time doing.
I'm right there with you.
The cool thing is, did you notice in combat that I did early on because I figured out this it wasn't like game breaking, but if you have characters that are long range like Aerith, Barrett, and Yuffie, and you have them on the offset, not on your main party, they actually will still participate in combat and attack the enemies. While your
that's cool.
While your main people are running,
it's hard to know because the game's so flashy and everything's exploding all the time. But like if you watch your long range characters outside of combat or out in combat, they're out on the outskirts and they are like Barrett shooting and
Yuffie will
throwing her Karuka and everything. It's all in the back.
Butterflies.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. That is really helpful to know.
But immediately they were doing like
chip damage. I think it's there for show, but it still looks cool. I mean,
but they were hitting
Yeah.
and dealing damage, just not a lot. So for a while, I was doing strictly melee people and having all long range people. And it wasn't until like a little later in the game where I realized the best party in the game is Cloud, Tifa, Yuffie.
Yeah.
Oh, it makes sense. I mean, Steve is a stagger monster. She's a beast of stagger.
Yeah, that's her character designed for. Before we move on through this, because I want to talk about, I'm not going to talk about a lot of the mini games, but this is the first Junon, Lower Junon is the first time you ran into your first ridiculous mini game,
Which one?
the frog one, which Clyde might not know about. We'll get to it in a sec, but I want to talk about
The frog one.
Yeah,
What?
exactly.
What is
Hold on.
this frog one?
Exactly. We'll get into we're in a combat section right now. We're kind of talking about combat a little bit. We want to mention this.
Yeah,
We completely have not mentioned this is the first time you get to play as Red 13.
Yes.
He's controllable, and he's not fun to play as
he's
at
my
all.
least favorite character to play as.
Did you dabble in his combat at all?
I tried him a little bit. I didn't like his vengeance system, so I didn't use him.
It makes him so unfun to play.
Yeah, I was not a fan. I will say though, on a positive on the combat side, I really liked the team up attacks they did. I thought a lot of those were really cool. I didn't really understand executing them a lot of the time, but I thought it was neat that they designed combo team up attacks for like every configuration. I thought that was really cool, and I celebrate that.
Yeah, I forgot to use them all the time.
Me too.
Flat out forgot to use them.
They come in super handy though. I later on in the game I started like utilizing them a lot because well, you didn't do any of them, but there's certain of those stupid side quests.
Well, the Odin fight requires it.
Oh yeah, the Odin fight requires.
Oh geez. Whoa, that's crazy.
You to use synergies and stuff like that because Odin's like you have a minute to beat him.
Something like that. It's like a timer or it's amount of times he hits you without you blocking or something like that.
The amount of times he deals direct damage to you, and if he deals like 100 damage to you, he'll just Zetsuken. Yeah, so you spend the entire fight either dodging or holding down the block button, and then just executing your synergy skills until he gets hurt, and then you can beat the crap out of him. But then if he still,
if he lands too many hits, he just does his summon move and he just kills you. It's a side fight that I did not do. Blake did mine.
I did it for not only did I do that. Is there because you also skipped out on? Did you encounter Gilgamesh at all?
No, I did not. Not in my entire playthrough.
Oh man!
So you missed out on some
handling his stuff is irritating as hell. But his cutscenes, again, when you're watching, it's awesome. His cutscenes are hilarious. We're getting the goofy Gilgamesh.
Oh, nice!
The Gilgamesh from like 5.
Yeah,
he's like
it's a really goofy Gilgamesh. His cutscenes are hilarious. Like he's fantastic. Like everything it takes to deal with him and get around to him and do all the Gilgamesh stuff. It's an entire game length side. It takes the entire game to do the Gilgamesh. Like the way they place it and deal him out throughout the game. It's a game length side quest, and we both did it. The payoff is just his cutscenes, really.
That's funny. But
he adds a little extra because he talks about because I guess they're doing like Gilgamesh is an interdimensional being.
Yeah,
and he talks about that he's encountered a man on the bridge, and he's trying to get back to the man on the bridge, which is Bart's from 5. And he talks about he's encountered other people on other planes of existence that would challenge you, Cloud, but you're my favorite to fight so far. So he's just kind of hinting that he's been to all the other worlds because Gilgamesh has appeared in a lot of the Final Fantasy games.
Yeah,
and it's just kind of like a little acknowledging that he has done that.
Now we got
that's amazing.
We went way off in the weeds.
But we were talking
about but combat Red 13.
The vengeance system
not fun.
Taking damage to deal damage and build up your meter.
It's a very Black Knight way to handle things, but I never saw Red 13 as a Black Knight, and then it never really seemed like his style of what he'd be doing. Anyway.
Yeah.
He's like a Fred mage maybe, but
right.
Maybe.
So back to Junon. How did y'all feel about overall the flow of Junon? Do you have something else?
The flow would be great if you didn't have to touch the side content, which you didn't, which is good for you.
I did not.
There is a really weird side quest here, which is the side quest is almost fun until you land to the mini game. There's a weird side quest where there's like this weird magic foggy part of Lower Junon that when you walk through it, the kids found out when you walk into the thing, you get toaded, like you turn into a frog. So you can see these really cool, these little frog versions of Cloud and Tifa, and everybody gets a little frog form.
Cool.
So you get to hop. It's kind of cute. The little side quest is kind of fun, but what it unlocks is the frog jumping mini game, which is horseshit. Like it's terrible. It puts you on this pedestal or this platform, and there's this thing spinning around, and you have to hop.
I saw that.
You have to hop over it, and you get whatever points, how many times you hop. And if the thing hits you, it whacks you off. I tried 2 times. I was like, well, done with this.
I didn't beat that.
And then moved on. Never went back to it. So, but anyway, again, the content side, the story side is cute and funny and just weird. Like you said, the weird Final Fantasy stuff you want to see is all there. But then when you have to like actively participate in it, you're like, oh, this sucks. This sucks bad. But anyway, you missed it. It's fine. Like it's something you might do on another playthrough just to see the goofy side. Don't recommend playing the mini game, but there's also like 40 mini games in this game that you don't want to touch.
many.
Yeah, but anything else for lower? I mean, we're going to play by play. This podcast cannot be 5 hours.
No.
We've all got other stuff
Well,
to
the
do.
only other thing for
It will be.
for like mini games is and you're in a new area, you're in New Junon, so you get access to a new chocobo. Did you run around with the new chocobo at all?
All the chocobos.
I did not. I did not know. I also didn't do chocobo pit stops. I didn't do chocobo catching. I only did what the game required me to do, like the chocobo
Yeah.
Gaga. I did that one, but I did not do any of the other.
That's why we'll be confused on what was required and what wasn't. So there is a different. You do get a quote unquote mountain
You get the
chocobo.
blue chocobo.
Yeah, I think the colors are
wow.
wrong. But use
blue's ocean, so it's a green one.
It's a green one, and what it really does, it's really not that useful. What it does is there's certain parts of Junon when you're exploring the big map, is there's parts that only the chocobo can climb. So you ride on it, and it tilts back, and it digs its claws into the thing and climbs up the wall. Yeah. That's pretty much what a mountain chocobo does. It's cool, but it's apparently only side content if you didn't see it.
Yeah.
It does
make
things.
Spoilers. We mentioned spoiler when we forgot we were spoiling things for you here for yours.
Oh no,
if you play
you're totally fine. I've seen a lot of it through my partner's playthrough. I had seen the frog mini game, so I've seen it like as a third party observer, but I just didn't play it on my original playthrough.
You didn't miss anything.
Yeah, you didn't miss it. You didn't really miss anything from the truck. It's cool seeing that. It's cool they did the other truck because they did a very
every area has a different color chocobo that allows you to interact
to do another thing. Yeah,
that's cool. Do y'all remember? Are the rewards good for that, or is it just like
it's all side content? I don't remember. Obviously, we played over like 100 hours. So much of this side content, I can't remember. It's mostly what you're doing is getting like you're usually trying to get to the next get to the next point on the map. You're probably chasing down like a summon crystal thing, or you're trying to chase down another thing for Chadley to blab at you. There's the combat challenges all across the map. You probably skipped all of those. There's combat challenges all over you skipped
every one of them.
I know. We're repeating that. We skipped everything. So that's really what your only thing you missed on is combat challenges.
Well, and
summoning crystals and other stuff like that.
The Gilgamesh side quest.
And the Gilgamesh stuff is in there. The Fort Condor's in there.
Yeah.
There's a Fort Condor mini game which plays pretty much like Fort Condor played in Final Fantasy VII, or kind of similar if you played it in the
DLC.
Intro, if you played it there. It's actually not as fun anymore. Like they somehow made it like not as fun as it. Like I enjoyed it in the Yuffie DLC, but this is just like
they streamlined it, and
they kind of streamlined it and made it kind of less fun. So you'll find the Fort Condor stuff hidden, which, like Blake said, the Fort Condor. No, only here. Only here, Fort Condor is tied to the Gilgamesh side quest. Very confusing. We're blowing your freaking mind with all this useless nonsense.
Yeah, so many extra side quests.
There's so much crap. I say crap in the nicest way possible. There's a lot of crap.
Yeah.
Lower Junon's very cool if you're running through it. Upper Junon.
You get to do the dolphin mini game.
That's just running around, ride the dolphin, jumping in, which I failed pretty bad the first time. I didn't understand it.
Not good at it.
I got through that. Upper Junon, like you said, all the doing the dance stuff.
Incredible. It's just they know how to design a fun set piece. Like you said, the Queen's Bee in from the original remake, and it's like they know what the fans want and they delivered. And I thought it was just so much fun. I was terrible at those mini games, but I thought it was a lot of fun. I was like, dang, this is great.
Did you recruit all the people, or you only recruited the bare minimum of soldiers, didn't you?
I tried. I did a run through and I tried to recruit as many as I could spot, but I only found like 5 or 6. I didn't find all of them. I think there was like 7 or something total. I only grabbed like 4 or 5. So
they're not that hard to find. You just kind of run around the map.
They all have their own story, but the only one that is of any note is there's one where you go into a bar. And it's the Chrome Dome bar. Did you go and do that one?
I don't recall. No, I don't think so.
Rude's in there.
Yeah, it's a bar you go into, and Rude's in there, but everyone in there, men, women, and everyone are completely shaven heads. And they're called the Chrome Dome bar. And so you get to see Rude cut up with some of the soldiers and all laugh because he's friends with them, which is funny because normally there's a lot of tension between the soldiers, security, and them. But because they were all the Chrome Dome bar, they were all friendly and happy, and like you got to see Rude be friendly with people.
Oh man,
that's cute. Oh,
and he'd be friendly with you because he doesn't realize that you're Cloud. He sees you the outfit and your
and you're in the outfit. Oh, yeah, that's great. Oh, that's hilarious.
We mentioned in Rude. God, there's no way this game's too big. The Mithril Caves where you first meet Elena.
We haven't made it that part yet.
Yeah,
that's in between here and Junon.
Yeah, you're right.
Oops. You pass to the Mithril Caves. You meet Elena.
Too much. Yeah. We couldn't possibly do a whole play-by-play because the game is so large. I mean, there's way too many.
Yeah, but Elena's great. She's awesome. Like she's
a badass,
goofy, and like all the Turks seem goofy but awesome. I don't know how
Yep.
that's the vibe they're going for, goofy but awesome. But anyway,
Well, she
Yeah.
drops that grenade and then
like
kicks it
kick
over,
that
and you're
grenade.
just like,
All the scenes are really cool.
Yeah.
Junon, of course, gets to the next big set piece, which is the boat. The boat, all the boat stuff is handled pretty. It's okay. You're skipping the worst part of the game, which is Queen's Blood. But
God.
people love Queen's Blood. I
hate-
despise Queen's Blood.
hated
Most
Queen's
of the
Blood.
boat is Queen's Blood, unless you're skipping it.
You
Yeah.
have to do it, don't you?
You have to play Queen. Oh, you have to play
You have
the
to play
story
Queen's
for
Blood.
it.
You have to do the tournament on the boat, don't you? Do you have to win it?
Hello?
I don't know if you have to win it. I don't know if you have to win it, but I
You have
will
to
say
participate.
you do have to participate. You do have to participate for sure. I will say I am a fan of Queen's Blood. I liked it, and I will say I'm also, just cards on the table for listeners, I am a sucker for card collection games and games like Witcher 3 card game. Loved it. FF8, 9 card games. I love them. So when I saw there's a card game here, I liked it. I didn't go ham with it. Like, I didn't play every single person I possibly
Oh,
could
we
and do all
did.
those side quests.
We
but-
did.
Oh, really?
God, we did
Oh,
every
that
freaking bit
would
of it.
probably drive me crazy too. But I liked it. Overall, I thought it was fun. I love
It's really popular.
I imagine it is.
I
Yeah.
think it's
Oh,
just
go ahead, Blake.
a step too complicated. Like
That's
for me,
fair.
if it's a card game, it should be fairly easy to pick up and put down and pick up and put down, and be able to explain it to somebody. And honestly, the first couple of times I won, I didn't even know how I won.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, I got to grasp it eventually.
Eventually.
I also rode one deck pretty hard from like most of the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now there's a lot of luck involved. But anyway, I don't want to go into.
I legitimately burst out laughing when Red 13 came out in the
That's
in
the best.
the, in the
That's
Sailor
the
House.
best,
Yeah.
the best part.
It's like those are the moments that I'm like, they didn't have to put those in the game, and they kept that silliness, ridiculousness, and I just I celebrate that. I'm like, let's freaking go. I loved it. I was a huge fan of it.
Came out.
The Queen's Blood tournament. Oh, ridiculous, so ridiculous. Like the whole
So
thing
funny.
just makes no sense at all. But it's just so stupid. But you can't help but be like, wow, they actually cared. Like the people who made this like really cared about the original game, and yeah, they loaded it up with too many mini games. But dang, there's some really special moments in there.
During the Queen's Blood, it's also cool getting to see some of your other characters from remake. We got to see Andre Romano, not Romano, but what was his name? Andre Rodeo.
Queen Bee in guy and the Madam from
Madam M.
Randomly cameoing for just to play Queen's Blood.
Yeah, just came in. It was cool just to see him. They're like, "Oh, what are you doing?" And they're like, "Oh, we got tickets to go on a vacation." So we just, it was just kind of cool getting, that they're like these. We spent a lot of time with these characters, and we wanted to, show love and reuse assets and save money.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it was nice to see them pop up again.
Hop back real quick into the grasslands. There's a whole side quest dedicated to, again, Gilgamesh, but you encountered those bandits.
Those goofy bandits.
The goofy bandits from the original game. Oh yeah.
They have a whole Gilgamesh side quest of an artifact they stolen.
Oh wow, that's cool.
Yeah,
Dang,
you get more
I did not realize
cutscenes with them. Yeah, they're still just they're making a different gang, or they're just doing different gang related activities they're doing.
That's funny. I'm trying to think. Did Don Corneo pop up in Rebirth? I'm trying to think if Don Corneo
later.
He does pop up late.
He's because you got to go up against him in the arena for the key sphere at the end of the game.
I vaguely recall that.
Remember, because you join what's the leader of the Golden Saucer? What's his name? Rio. You join Rio's team because he's up against. Because if Don Corneo wins the tournament, he gets to take over the Gold Saucer.
Yeah.
Right. I remember that now, which is that does not feel canon at all to FF7. It feels like it's a brand new storyline they manufactured because everybody hated Don so that's funny. But no, yeah, I am very lucky in that I dodged a lot of these mini games because I think after 40 hours of them, I would have been like, these are grating on me. And there's 100 more hours of mini games to go, so I probably saved myself a lot of sanity in dodging them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we get the Queen's Blood thing, you get the awesome Red 13 thing, and then the attack on the boat.
Was it handled because this originally was a really interesting.
Well, if I'm not mistaken,
Genova fight.
Well, wasn't your original boat in 7 wasn't like a military ship? It wasn't a passenger vessel.
It was a military. Yeah, this part's way bigger than it was originally. You run on like there's 2 screens. You talk to some folks, and then you fight Genova. Yeah. I mean,
right.
This is
very
different,
bigger, 100%,
and violent. Like these things, those monsters were like violently and like grabbing the people, and then you finally see that the you learn later that they're degraded soldiers. The black robed men are actually soldiers that are suffering from cellular degradation.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
And
Can I just, I want to say really quickly,
Yep.
sorry to interrupt you, Blake. I didn't mean to cut you off.
you go for it.
There was one thing in the game that I could not help but laugh at every time that it happened was the black robed people, the guys in the black robes. I thought it was funny how everyone around them would just humor them. Like it felt very Japanese to me. Like they were like, "Oh, there's like 5 black robe people like getting on the boat. I guess we'll just let them on the boat." I'm like, "Wait, what?"
I,
Like in
I
the
like
real
the
world, they'd be like, "Yo, bro, what are you doing, man? Like
I like
get
the
off this boat." Yeah.
I like the part on the railroad tracks when they're just like walking off that thing and just like they're just jumping off into the water, just doing their black robe guy stuff. They're just like,
Yeah.
we'll get
Yeah.
to the reunion eventually. We're just going to keep walking across the planet until we get there.
Yeah, like especially like we get to Costa del Sol and the black robe dudes are just like hanging out on the beach with all the girls in the bikinis. And I'm like, bro, like if this is the real world, like you get some security guy and be like, yo, get out of here, you crazy
Get
homeless
this
person.
creep
But,
out of here, man.
no, it's like yeah, and that's not me throwing shade on homeless people. I felt like that was I felt like the black robe people were like they were really all over the game and the game just like humored them all the time. And I felt
Yeah,
like
I think it's
it just kind of made me laugh.
they're like they're like a background thing across they're in the whole they're in everywhere you go. Like you said, when you're walking the open worlds, every little while you run into one, they're just reunion. That's all they ever really say.
Yeah.
And there's a part is like I forget exactly where you're at, but you're like walking, and there's where are you in Junon? No, I think you're in Gungaga. Like they're walking across this thing, and the condor just comes down and
Grabs one.
Yeah,
picks one
grabs
up and
one.
flies off with them.
They're just like, well, I guess he's dead.
And they're just like,
Yeah. Yeah, reunion. Man, I feel bad for that condor. That dude could not have tasted good. That would not have been
No
a good
way.
dinner. Like,
no.
Tasted gross.
that dude tastes like chemicals. Yeah. I thought it was funny. Like they always humor them everywhere. And let's jump to Costa del Sol because the stuff with Hojo and the chicks on the beach. I mean, the whole honestly, Costa del Sol could be a whole episode by itself.
It's massive.
But how did y'all
Smash
feel
is a
about it?
lot.
There's so many games.
Again-
there's so much fan service. Like there's a lot going on in Costa
Could
del
always
Sol.
start with where we start with every part of the section is it looks awesome.
Yeah.
It's
Really
way bigger. It's
phenomenal.
way bigger than it was in the original 7.
Gorgeous.
Looks cool. Looks
Yeah.
really great. The Hojo. I mean, Hojo. There's more. Actually, it seems there's a little more Hojo stuff. There's like, is that boss? Is that now? Or is that? I'm gonna get my timeline messed up. Is that boss now?
It's now because then once you're done with that, then you go actually across the thing into.
Maybe we'll get all this up
Into
to you.
Golden Saucer.
There's a fight,
But you do
I think
Soul
I think
first
is
and
now. We'll skip over this place is full of terrible mini games.
Awful.
Absolutely
Terrible
full.
mini games. Bad
Wow.
mini games.
Wow.
Yeah.
You
Riding a
past that.
Segway, like what? Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. There's
Right,
a
well,
lot.
they all suck. I will point out, especially bad is the Red 13 hitting a ball mini game. Is atrocious.
Yeah.
It is
Really? Oh geez.
hitting something that should be fun, terrible. Hitting a ball into a goal, it's a nightmare. Skipping over that, the Johnny stuff.
Getting to see Johnny.
Did you do the John? You skipped it all. Johnny gets caught up in a thing where he's being
real estate scam?
a real estate scam, sort of, but he's getting multiply. I think Yuffie hits him with a.
And it's at the boss fight. After the boss, she hits him with it at the boss fight.
Yeah, so Yuffie has that where she can duplicate herself in combat. Well, she apparently, I forget how, but she hits him with it, and there's a bunch of Johnnies. Now,
Oh, geez.
Johnny is somehow was irritating in Remake. I found him funny and endearing in Rebirth.
In Rebirth, yeah, that was my experience as well.
I don't know if you experienced a
Yeah.
lot of it, but there's a whole
I
little
didn't
Johnny.
know. His
There's a
little
whole
inn,
little-
though, I thought that was the
The end's
case,
cool,
though,
yeah.
too.
The end is actually part of what makes the platinum trophy so hard, apparently,
Jeez.
because
Getting all
it.
the statues.
Getting all the statues requires acing all the mini games. Oh. With Johnny, he said he said more endearing than anything. He's also really funny. There's a side quest you missed where you talk to multiple different Johnnies and collect these different Johnnies. It's all really funny. One of the only side quests, but of course it leads to the big collecting his end crap that's just impossible. But the collecting the Johnny side quest is really funny because they're all really like somebody who I didn't like at all in Remake. Like he was like, okay, this guy's kind of goofy and fun. Funnily enough, I was like, I don't remember Johnny at all in original Final Fantasy VII. When I was playing original, he's in the original Final Fantasy VII. He's not prominent.
is he?
He's not prominent at all, but he's actually in Midgar in the original Final
He's a
Fantasy.
redheaded guy.
Redheaded guy, and his name's Johnny, and he's like, oh, dude, he's actually in here, which is blew my mind when I was playing original.
That is
Final
mind blowing. I did not know that was.
Yeah,
a
he's
canon
not
character.
he's not a
Wow.
Canon's iffy because he's not important at all in the original set, but he's actually there. which is funny. They grabbed onto that guy and kind of blew him up across the rebirth and everything like that, which is kind of funny.
Wow,
But
that's
anyway,
incredible.
But part of that story at Johnny's Inn is another moment where you get it's another Nanaki Aerith moment. Where it does like a little bit of fan service where she's getting a shower, but you don't see anything. You just hear the water running, but it's like maybe I'll see something because you know everyone. But then Red 13 is talking to her, but in his Nanaki voice.
But you don't see him talking.
You don't see him talking. You just hear the voice.
Yeah,
yeah. You just hear the voice.
Like,
oh, that's
who's
great.
this random person. And then
favorite parts, I guess, of Coastal del Sol. We hit a couple of things here besides the visual. I thought it was weird to need bathing suits to go to the beach. You had to have.
Man, all I can say is that like Square Enix knew what they were doing with those bikinis. They got so many kids to play so many mini games to get those bikinis. They were like, I mean, damn, dude. If they made a mobile game with that, they'd be printing money like hotcakes. I mean, it's like it's crazy.
Because you know on the internet, when everybody, when the entire world got to Coastal del Sol on the internet, because that's all the pictures were of Final Fantasy Rebirth was the girls in their bikinis. Well, not Yuffie so much. People don't care about Yuffie. All they really care about is Tifa. Let's be honest.
Right. Yeah.
The entire internet was like, look at all these pictures of Tifa and her bikini. I was like, I get it. There's bikinis.
I get it. I've seen real women before, guys. Come on, quit. Quit hyperizing the stereotype of nerd video gamers.
And you can't forget the couple of folks that were you got the occasional pictures of Cloud, of course, because you got to have sort of like, man, this guy, for a scrawny guy, he sure is ripped.
Right. Yeah, you get Cloud bod. You get Cloud bod on the internet a little bit, but
I did see a lot of those people were.
Well, my favorite part was in his he looks great, of course, but was in the bathing suit, his thing where his sword is like stuck to his bare back. There's nothing holding his sword there.
So ridiculous.
They didn't do anything to try to like hide that. This is video game nonsense. His sword is stuck to his bare back. It's fine.
And then Barrett is in his sailor costume. With that hook hand.
Good stuff.
So great. I loved it. Yeah, I thought it was really fun. I thought the Hojo stuff at the end kind of felt like I was like, what is going on here? What are these like? Yeah, that was a little out of left field, but
because he's just like he's like a 3-line conversation in the original. He's like, you talk on the beach and that's it. Turns into like a whole little thing here.
Yeah, because that's an experiment. That's one of his machines. It's an experiment. He's trying, and it does a cool triangle pyramid capture thing, which I thought was really cool.
They do that there.
Yep. Was that there?
Maybe.
Pretty sure it was there.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It was. Yeah, it was, and it was great. I thought overall, that was a really interesting sequence. I didn't understand the fangirls on the beach being like, "Oh, Hojo, we love you." I was like, what is going on here? How do I get
to them kind of after the fact and do storylines for them? They were hired from the Honeybee Inn to make Hojo spend money and to make Shinra spend money on the inn.
That makes more
sense. That makes sense. That does make sense. I was like,
because after you do that story, all three of them have side quests and stuff for you, and then you get a little bit more, and you're like, oh, that science guy, we were just paid to hang out with and to make him look cool and feel loved.
Yeah, so many side quests.
It was just a ploy to try to get more money for Costa del Sol and the Honeybee Inn.
Yeah,
that is cool to know. Dang, that's cool. They added that kind of background and context. Yeah, there's so much.
Even in the main game, you're just like, why is Hojo a pimp? Why has he got these 3 ladies just hanging on him? At least they'd stand by and try to explain it. Like, oh yeah, Hojo's a loser and a creeper. There's no way anyone would willingly hang out with him on purpose, except for with an ulterior motive.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. I enjoyed it. I feel like there was a lot of mini games there that I bypassed, so my experience was probably very different than y'all's was. But overall, moving through it pretty quickly, I enjoyed it a lot. I thought it was a lot of fun.
Very cool. I guess the next big thing, there's an open area here, which you piddle around in a little bit, but it's a bigger deal later. I think you come back to this one. The main point here is getting to connecting ourselves, working our way to Gold Saucer. I'm surprised they do a good little part of the railroad tracks thing, which I feel like is a part they could have cut out, but they do the railroad track sequence a little bit. I mean, it's a whole level. It's a whole thing there.
Mount Cornell.
Is it Cornell?
Mount Coral.
I think it's Coral.
Yeah. So you kind of do all that stuff, kind of making your way towards the town. Of course, all the stuff is there. Like I said, the black robe guys kind of working their way across it. There's traversal stuff with Yuffie. There's new traversal stuff with Yuffie there. Where you get to do something like use her ninja
Oh,
abilities to.
those are the
grapple.
only times in the game I actually used her, was when they made me hook shot with her around the map
Yeah.
and slingshot. I'm like, I guess I'll play as Yuffie for these sequences. But that was the only time I used her in the game. I did not like using her.
Talking about her
Yeah.
more, because I want to get more story stuff. So you don't find her enjoyable? Like her and Barrett's interactions, I thought were nearly a highlight of the game. The way the kind of the relationship that her and Barrett built across the game, they were like really fun together. You just find her grating all the time.
Not all the time. I think there are some moments with her that are endearing, but uh she's a little extra for me, is all I can say.
Yeah.
Is like I feel
Yeah,
like
she's
hyper.
hyper.
She's hyper and she's on all the time. She's always
Oh, yeah.
like, "Oh my gosh, what's over here? Oh my gosh, this materia." Like we could be having the most serious moment in the game and she'll be like, "I want to steal this materia." And I'm like, "Yo, Cloud just stabbed Diva over here. Like chill, girl." Like she's just on all the time. I think that's
Yeah.
probably why I was like,
I think
To that,
I think Barrett's her balance though. I think that's why they kind of pair them together so much in this game. They seem like they're paired together a lot in the cutscenes, and a lot of the interactions are between her and Barrett, because Barrett's a much more somber character, and he kind of brings she brings a little life out of him. I would say it gets more out of his little show.
I felt that their relationship was a like a father-daughter relationship, because there were moments where they would interact and it was adorable, because there was a moment where she was doing the little punching thing. She's like, the hyperactive punching thing, and Barrett's actually pretending to take the hits. He's like,
oh, that's
and then,
adorable.
and then he caught her fit,
think...
and then he caught her fist and was like, hey, we need to go do some stuff. Because some of the stuff you missed out on, some of the side quests, is there are character specific side quests.
Oh yeah.
Oh, interesting.
And some of them for Yuffie, because you are tired of her being on all the time. There are moments where you get to see real Yuffie, where she's somber and she's sad because of the war that came to what's her country called? The war that came to Wutai. And then she gets real sad because some of the death that happened for her teammates in Midgar. That all of her teammates were dead, and she was the only survival. And like there are moments where you get to see behind and you get to see her just be, off and be real Yuffie, and then you realize that it's all an act, because she can't let herself be sad, because if she's sad, then she's sad. It's like it's like the hyper active is to counterbalance her massive depression she's blocking out.
Yeah.
Gotcha. I wouldn't go so far as to say she's like my least favorite Final Fantasy character or anything that, but it is good to know that they do ground her.
Queen from Final Fantasy IX.
Bruh, I will go to bat for Queen every day of the week. He's a chef. No, I'm just kidding. No, Queen is pretty mid. But I actually totally unrelated. I am replaying FF9 right now. I'm about like I'm about halfway through the game on this replay, and I'm really enjoying it. We could do a total episode about FF9. I could rant for hours about FF9. I freaking love FF9. I love it
like in the last couple of years myself.
Yeah, I literally just finished. I literally just finished a playthrough of Final Fantasy X, and I'm just started 10-2 like this morning. Literally, there's always a Final Fantasy happening somewhere.
That's amazing. That's freaking amazing. Yeah, but to not derail us from Rebirth too much, I really enjoyed so many of these moments, and I think like the railroad tracks going into Mount Corel, going into the sequence with Tifa and the live stream, and the crater and the live stream.
Yep.
That to me was so out of left field, and I didn't know what I was watching. I was like, I completely didn't understand. My brain could not comprehend what we were seeing with that sequence.
That whole reactor sequence is new.
Yeah.
The entire, because that reactor, we jumped way ahead, I guess, but the Gonganga reactor there's not a sequence of that in 7 originally. Like this whole exploring the reactor and doing the whole thing. These new fish weapons, I'm not sure about what they're doing with the big fish weapons. Is kind of the fact they're calling them weapons and all that kind of stuff. I'm not sure.
I'm hoping that these are like a metamorphosis thing, and that each one will transform into a weapon, into a ruby weapon, into a pearl weapon, into the diamond weapon. That's what I'm hoping. If they all just like whales, it'll be really boring, especially with how anime they're going. Why would they nix badass looking weapons?
There's no way they're too big. They're too big to leave out.
Exactly.
Weapons.
Yeah, I mean, I agree.
What's it? The pearl weapon with the Sister Ray.
It has to happen,
and that thing looked really cool, and so did Ruby and Emerald.
Yeah, and they're massive. They're like, the scale of them is so different from anything else in the game. They're really cool. And yeah, that sequence with Tifa inside of the just the whole sequence was just like I genuinely was like, what am I watching? What is this sequence? I don't my
Mhm.
brain cannot comprehend what I am seeing right now. Like
Well,
it was
and
Yeah,
then
very wild.
because you mentioned like ooh, like you said earlier, like, "Ooh, Cloud just stabbed Tifa, Yuffie, calm down." That's in that same sequence. I feel like
Yeah,
he's having a weird Sephiroth moment, and she's having a weird because I think when she gets stabbed is when she falls into the
yeah,
make is when she falls into the live
yeah,
stream and gets all
yep.
these weird flashes, and she kinda one of the weapons talks. Does it talk?
it like sends. Well, in that weapon, who was it? Brain catch up. In that weapon, she has the white whispers, and then they battle Sephiroth and his dark whispers underwater. And I'm like, what is going on?
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, Blake, that
And
was exactly my reaction. I was like,
that's
I
the
do
whole.
not know what we're
That's
doing.
the
Yeah,
unknown journey. That's that one sequence was the unknown journey in this adventure that
Yeah, because it's like the only
yeah,
part that's like really added
out of
besides
left field.
the Zack stuff. They're just like, and they don't ever really. She kind of half mentioned she got like mentions it later that she like saw something in the live stream. Everybody's just like, ah, shut up, Tifa. We're moving on.
right.
It's
Yeah,
like
exactly.
don't brush that
Yeah.
off. Like
Yeah. She's like, no, I saw some freaky deaky shit in that live stream. And it's like, we don't have time for this. We got to keep moving. It's like, wait, what? Yeah, it reminds me of like the sequence in, I don't know if y'all played FF8 in a hot minute, but it's like when they're on, like very early in the game, when they're on the train, like Zell and Squall and Selphie are on the train, and they all get knocked out with the gas or whatever, and they all have the exact same dream, and they wake up and they're all like, dang, I just had this dream about like these three specific characters, Laguna and his friends, and they're
Mhm.
like, that's weird. I had the exact same dream too, and they're all like, wait, we should not talk about this right now. Let's focus on the mission. I'm
Yeah.
like, bro, in that situation, how
No,
would you not, dude? I would be up all night being like, why did we all see the same dream? What is going on here? That's exactly how I feel about the Tifa situation. I'm like, how can you just yada yada not wanting to talk about her in the live stream? Like, it's totally
they
crazy.
never talk about it again.
They briefly, as the game goes on, they hint at it. She's like, "Oh,
Well, when you run into the weapon,
yeah."
you see the little fishy guys again, but like yeah, like it's a weird big thing that she sees, and you're just like, this should like we gotta talk about this. Like it needs to be
Yeah,
addressed.
yeah.
And just so you know, there's no side quest that address this whole sequence. It's never
Oh,
mentioned
nice.
again. It's never
Okay.
mentioned
Well,
again.
the unknown journey awaits then. That's funny.
All in the
Jeez.
Gunganga reactor. Like everything in Gunganga is all that reactor stuff. It's all brand new for people who don't know who are playing the game. Because it's literally the
Yeah.
Gunganga reactor in Seven originally is just a screen of a blown up reactor. You get the
Use the
Titan
Titan
materia
materia. Scarlet lands,
and
and
you
you get the
wander
Titan
off.
material.
All of Gunganga's. This is the area when we talk about expanding a section. All of Gunganga is way bigger than it used to be. It's literally
Yep.
it's like Gunganga's 3 screens in
Yeah.
Seven original. It's a whole open world map section. Oh, the whole town looks really cool.
Before we get to
Yep.
Gungaga, didn't we go to Gold Saucer first and then Gungaga? Are we
Oh
skipping over
crap, we
Gold
probably are.
Saucer?
Oh yeah,
Let's
we
go
no
to
Gold Saucer deserves it. Yeah, we deserve to
Ah,
shout out
well,
Gold
Okay,
Saucer.
let's put a pin in Gungaga. We'll come back to that, but we need to tackle.
yeah. I'm trying to like glaze over stuff. I know I can't glaze over Ghost Saucer.
Yeah.
Can't mention Ghost Saucer without mentioning the opening dance with the little
The
dance
opening combat
sequence.
with him and Rio. With Rio.
Yeah.
Oh, the whole dance sequence where everybody jumps in and everybody just knows the move. Everybody knows the moves to this
Oh,
dance.
Yuffie, Tifa, and
Yeah.
They just all know these dance moves for no way. Whatever. It's hilarious and too much fun for anybody to be mad at.
No.
But it's dumb, doesn't make sense, but too funny and enjoyable to like.
It's wild. It's
Yeah.
great. It's so much fun. And I think everybody, I think all of us in particular, because we loved the Gold Saucer in the original game and how visually impressive it was. I think we all went in with high expectations for Gold Saucer in Rebirth, and it just for me, I felt like it met or exceeded those in a lot of really cool ways. The
Mhm.
mini games were a lot of fun, and I was not expecting just the musical number with with Aerith singing and like that
Oh,
whole
that part,
that happened
man.
later. Yeah, with
That's
the
later,
yeah
but that part is incredible.
was
yeah
that Heartless, Hopeless,
Hope what the song
I think it's
is.
Loveless.
Loveless?
Yeah,
Loveless.
yeah, it's Loveless.
That
Yeah,
whole
I
sequence
yeah,
that whole sequence is awesome. And
super
ending on
trippy.
that,
Yeah.
it's crazy that that musical number is not been talked about. Like I've not seen nobody talking about that. It's people like
Oh,
don't even
really?
mention that on the
Wow.
internet. I don't know if you because I read Rebirth posts all the time, and nobody's ever like this sequence with Aerith doing this song. And I don't even like that kind of music necessarily. I'm like a metalhead,
Yeah.
but like this whole sequence was like beautifully done. Like it's just like why does nobody talk about this? Because it was not in the original, I guess. But like was really
Yeah.
cool. Like, I don't know.
And everyone in the different and the awesome costumes and
Yeah.
everything. And on top of it, like they may mention it during that, but what you're doing, I think Aerith actually sings. She won the contest, so she sings her song. But what you're
Mm.
acting out is you're acting out pre-recorded lines from the last thing of Hopeless, which was the
Oh
performance
wow.
that Jesse was in before she died.
Loveless.
Loveless. Those are the
Oh, that's
performances
cool.
Jesse was in before she died.
Yeah.
So all these
Wow.
lines and stuff your people are doing, you're lip syncing to the most successful version of the play, which
Wow.
was the
That's
one Jesse
incredible.
was in before she quit and went to Avalanche and everything.
Yeah.
And it's cool.
Gotcha.
You get to see her picture and stuff on the wall and all that stuff. And
Yeah.
She was actually famous.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I love that they also in the VR recreation they have like the spirit of Biggs and Wedge show up and get to sit there and watch her performance. I genuinely felt like this is very spaghetti, but it's appropriate spaghetti, and it feels like it's it's nice. It was a nice moment in a very full on game, and I thought, wow, I wasn't expecting this, but it was really cool. I mean, I had no idea what was going on with the actual play itself. I was like, this is super wild. The
I'm
outfits
not
are
sure you're supposed
crazy.
to
The
know.
performance, yeah. But yeah, no, Gold Saucer was incredible. I really really enjoyed it. I didn't play all the mini games because like I said, I was trying to beeline the main story, but
Yeah.
the ones I did play are pretty fun. I don't know how I felt about the boxing mini game. That one probably beat my butt too many times. But
Yeah, it's pattern recognition because they always follow the exact same pattern, and once you get it down, you
oh,
you can handle it.
Gotcha.
It looks cool.
Yeah, it looks really cool.
Yeah, it looks good. It looks great. It looks
using their
great.
old polygon models to
Yeah,
to
the
do the
polygon.
combat.
Yeah,
That was a lot of fun. Combat arena. It's always a combat arena.
Then there's a
You
motorcycle one. Ugh,
you meet Kate Sith here. I mean,
You
we can't pass over a freaking
yeah,
character.
we get.
Oh yeah.
Surprised by his voice acting, but not. Oh, you played in Japanese. His English voice actor.
He's like Scottish.
He's Scottish.
Oh, interesting. Oh, that's cool.
It's a choice I wasn't expecting, but it actually kind of works.
Huh.
Yeah, so he's a lot of fun. Another character I did not want to play as at all in combat.
He was better in combat than Red 13 for sure. He was actually not awful.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's true. And I really didn't like his mini game throwing the boxes on the switches.
Dumb.
Oh my gosh.
Dumb.
Yeah.
It had nothing to do with Kate Sith.
What is this?
Yeah.
Has anything to do with Kate Sith? Like,
yeah, I know that's jumping way ahead to to Hojo's lab, but man, that mini game drove me nuts. I was like, I don't want to be throwing boxes at walls. I want to be experiencing the main story.
The controls were terrible. Like what were they thinking?
Yeah, I was cool crawling through, being a small cat and crawling through air ducts.
That makes more sense.
But
I mean, sort of. He's like
he's an espionage.
He's an espionage agent. So like, I mean, sneaking around and doing stuff like that's interesting. But the box, like, come on, guys,
it was so bothersome.
Box stuff.
Yeah.
But again, that's way in the future.
Yeah, we're all over the place. But it's cool to have Kate Sith around. I will say the Kate Sith at the end of the game stuff, they didn't really do that right. I felt like jumping ahead again, like the way they kind of, because he's a little more mysterious in the original game, I feel like, or just not talked about at all. And then like in this game, they all seem to know he's a spy right away.
Right.
They all just seem. I forget that I missed that. Did I like?
Well, he says that he works for Shinra.
I guess
just
they
a level grunt.
But then like everybody's like kind of mad at him and kind of not mad at him.
We don't trust you. Yeah. Yeah.
He has a weird vibe throughout the whole game. Anytime they're addressing Kate Sith specifically, it's just like handled very strangely. And I feel like when I played the original, they didn't really know he was a spy. They find out later he's a spy. Like them just being aware has a weird vibe for all this, and it's just like things that aren't handled correctly. I think the way they handle Kate Sith.
Well, he has to do a lot of stuff, like involving technology and Shinra tech. He just has to do it as part of the story. And then if he just starts doing it without any questions, like he's just like, oh yeah, I work for Shinra. I'm a low level grunt. That's why they got me doing this gig. He just makes him see like he's he's trying to get back at the company to make him be on your side and stuff.
Right.
But before we go down the Kate Sith,
go ahead, Blake.
Are we done with Gold Saucer? Because after Gold Saucer, we get to Dine.
And that's what I was gonna. That's exactly where my brain went to. Right? Is I wanted to talk about Dine. How did y'all feel about that sequence? How did y'all feel about the flashbacks? What were y'all's thoughts on it?
I don't want to be too hyperbolic, but this Dine stuff, I wanted more Dine stuff.
Yeah,
this stuff was handled so well. I was hoping this was something you do get a little bit more flashbacks and stuff like that. You get a little bit more. I love seeing the they're holding their hands and getting shot sequence and the whole everything. His character is a little bit different now. He's not like because I was playing the because I said where I was playing him kind of side by side with I was playing the original. Like he gets a lot more dialogue now, and his like his mental instability is way more prominent in Rebirth of
Yeah,
what he went through. And I think, man, this dying stuff, I feel like it was done so freaking well, and it's like a great pivotal, like obviously a big sequence for Barrett to have to deal with.
Well,
I don't know, man.
there's mystery there too, because as you go through Corel on your way up to the gold saucer, everyone's talking to Barrett and they're like, "Screw you," and like spit, like literally spitting on him and like throwing food at him, and Barrett just takes it, and you're like, "Barrett, what are you doing?" Because like because we kind of know, but like seeing everyone react to it and like it build up more that just how like he's like, "I deserve this. Don't worry, don't fight them. This is all me." And it was just like really cool getting to see the somber side of Barrett as opposed to like the gusto, but
Yeah,
like
different side of
he
Barrett,
bears that weight stoically.
100%.
I
Yeah,
feel
he
like
doesn't take crap from anybody, and when they get there,
Until
he's
they're-
like, "Oh, I deserve this," and you're like, "Whoa!" It immediately makes your brain go, "What happened?" And I completely agree. I thought the flashback sequences and the dying sequences were so well done. I would have embraced even more of it, but I think what we got was so great, and it was clearly a depiction of like PTSD of like someone who's been through like war and their mental state is chewed up and spit out, and they're really unstable. But I think the the climax with Barrett and Dine, I thought was ecstatic. I loved it. I genuinely was like just shaking at the end of it, and your heart breaks for Barrett because he just wants to save his friend. He just wants to,
because his
he
daughter's
wants
still
to,
alive. Dine's daughter's still alive. He even tells them, and you're just like, oh, no, you get like you could. Dine just has this. He's done too much. Like he's too much. He
Yeah.
says about there's too much blood on my hands to hug
he's-
my daughter or whatever. I can't hug my daughter. I don't know the
Right.
line.
It was a really awesome line, but I can't.
I can't hug my daughter with this much blood on my hands or something like. Because all he's done is he's been like a
Yeah.
mercenary for
More than he's just been a killer.
just a killer. Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those moments in the game that feels like it's something like in our real lives you could come into contact with someone who's this scarred and this messed up, and you just want to hug them and tell them like, man, I want to make this okay. But sometimes you just can't make things okay, and watching Barrett try to do that is just so heartbreaking. And I thought it was really well done. I really love this sequence in the game. I really enjoyed it.
And they did a good job of splitting it up where Barrett fought Dine by himself, and then you guys fought
yeah.
the what's his name?
Yeah, this weird president. What's his name?
Not Rufus.
What's the goofy guy's name?
He's the guy who runs the rocket shit. He runs Rocket Town.
Oh, geez.
What's
It's not
his name?
Rufus.
God.
Oh, I can't remember his name.
Scarlet.
I cannot remember his name.
Yeah, it's Scarlet,
Heidinger, Singh, Reeves, Scarlet. What is his name, Hojo? What is his?
He's the guy, yellow suit, fat guy, funny haircut. But anyway, he shows up here with
Yeah. I always think of the Monopoly Man when I see him because he looks like him to me.
He shows up here with I guess it's to give you something to do while Barrett's handling Dine, I guess, which I kind of didn't really need, but you fight him in a weird mech here, which is just a false fight. But it's obviously what's more important is the Barrett and Dine stuff. This is where you get the buggy, which we'd be remiss if we didn't mention the buggy on the world map, which is pretty cool. I thought it again, it like they didn't have to make
it's gonna drive me crazy. I had to look his name up. It's Palmer. Damn it.
Palmer.
I was looking it up while we were talking.
I was like, it was gonna drive me crazy. I was like, it's not Rufus, damn. Yeah, no. Yeah.
But after all this, of course, is getting the buggy. The buggy's pretty cool. Like I feel like it's actually more useful in this game than in the original. Like it don't really do anything in the original game besides you drive across that one river in 7. This is rivers everywhere. You drive it all thing. It looks cool. It drives fine.
Yeah.
I like clicking the little thing to call it to you. That's cool. You probably drove it a lot less because you're just mainline, but it's a really cool vehicle. Yeah. You get to use it in a couple of different places. So
I loved it. That Dine sequence and the buggy, just so good. A lot of fun and really great emotional moments.
The only thing for me about the Dine sequence was there's a moment where it got, again, hyper anime-y when his arm was all like went Akira.
Yeah.
I was like, whoa, what are we doing here with the Akira arm? The kind of the Tetsuo arm. But that was like the only moment.
Tetsuo, yeah.
Like that was the only moment that I was kind of like weirded out by.
Whoa, yeah. Yeah. Oh man, the Barrett performance was so great there. I'm sure it was great. The English voice cast.
The English voice actor, man. He has
probably the best character in the game.
I would say, yeah. Maybe I talk about this
I
after
think
we completed the game. Like for a character who
could be annoying or should be annoying.
could be irritating, but like Barrett is like kind of the most we keep saying endearing because all the characters kind of are. What's weird about this game is I feel like Barrett is probably the most endearing character throughout, and he's kind of buffed by Yuffie a little bit.
Huh.
The Weirdly enough, I think the least interesting character in the entirety of Rebirth is Aerith. They just
Yeah.
they just don't do any. Okay, we're gonna go off the rails again. They don't, for somebody who's so pivotal, obviously, and how much screen time she gets in remake and stuff like that. All the stuff you fall in love with her in remake and all her sequences. She's backseated really bad, really hard in Rebirth. I feel like.
Yep.
Am I wrong
Yeah.
about that? Does she not seem like she's backseated super heavily in Rebirth?
She gets her moments, but they're kind of far and few between. Like she has like the stuff with Red 13 and Nanaki and stuff like
I
that.
guess, but like I don't know, man. She just seems like
Yeah.
there's just like no focus on her whatsoever in Rebirth. I mean, we know why in the end, but like you
Yeah.
seem like you got to build up that relationship to make the ending have more impact. But like I don't know. It just seems like there'd be a lot more of she's just not focused at all. Like she's not the focus of any part of this. Or so I thought.
Yeah. No, I completely agree, and it's frustrating because we know where the game's hurtling towards, and we're like, oh, we want to see more Aerith. I will say, at the risk of jumping ahead, I
It's
did
fine.
like her sequences in Cosmo Canyon. I
Yes.
actually really liked the like mini festival they do of the sending off in Cosmo Canyon, and I want to take a step back. How do y'all feel about Cosmo Canyon? How do y'all feel about Cosmo Canyon in Rebirth? And was it what you were expecting or anticipating, or was it different, or
Again,
where did it fit in for y'all?
I love the story sequences. What I thought was weird about the story sequences is pardon my language. When you first meet Bugenhagen, they say his name now. Now
Yeah.
we know how to say his name. We were always with
Bugenhagen.
Bugenhagen. He's an asshole when you first
Mm.
meet him, and
He totally is. He totally
he's a
is.
complete
Yeah.
asshole. Like and it's like so weird. Like and it's like and he comes around later. He kind of like apologizes later. He also this is one of the parts where Tifa says something about what she saw, and Bugenhagen's like, "Nah, you're a dumb woman. You didn't see
Yeah.
nothing." Is basically
Yes.
what he says.
I
And this
was
is the
like,
only time
whoa.
she ever tries. This is the one guy she can talk to about the one guy who should know something about what she saw. He's like, "Shut up, woman. You know nothing."
Yeah.
Is basically I'm
Dropping the
paraphrasing.
casual sexism.
I'm
Yeah.
paraphrasing, but like he
Yeah.
shuts her down so hard.
Says you can't possibly write.
Yeah.
You have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, I was like, dude, like
Yeah.
be excited that somebody brought you something that you might learn something about the planet or have something. But man, he shuts her down freaking hard.
Yeah.
And I
That
think
sequence
maybe
definitely.
that's why
Yeah.
she never mentions it again because she gets shut down so
Yeah.
hard.
PTSD for
Yeah.
being shut down so hard.
Right. Yeah.
But
I
Bugenhagen
agree. I was
was
like,
strange. He comes back, he literally apologizes later.
Yeah.
The later parts of the Cosmo Canyon sequence, he
Yeah.
does
Yeah.
apologize.
I want to ask
Go
because I don't remember if this is something I bumped on in Rebirth, and I haven't played the original FF7 in a couple of years, in several years, so it's been a while. But I bumped on like when I walked into Cosmo Canyon and they do the Nanaki voice reveal, which I thought was great, and I loved that.
Mhm.
I thought that was
Yep.
a really cool moment.
Grandpa.
But when yeah, exactly, yeah, and the voice acting was great in JP too. When I got into Cosmo Canyon and I saw that it was like now a touristy town, and there were tourists
Bit weird,
everywhere.
huh?
It was
Yeah,
strange.
exactly. That was my reaction too. I was like, wait a minute, is this canon? Is this like what Cosmo Canyon was supposed to be? And
It's
was
not.
that an element? In the,
It's not.
yeah,
That's not like that. The only people in the Cosmo Canyon is very sparse.
yeah,
People wise in the original, it's only the ones who live there, and they're all very spiritual, and it's all about the
yeah.
planetary spiritness. And they're all there. It is a tourist attraction in Rebirth.
But they got
Yeah.
to fund their research somehow. It kind of makes sense. And they
Yes.
talk about it.
So this is maybe the one
Yeah.
the one bit of lore expansion that I maybe, like you said, kind of didn't rub me the wrong way. I never saw Cosmo Canyon in my mind. You know, of course, it's our brain. Our brain do whatever we want them to do. I'd never seen
Yeah.
like the tourist attraction is Coastal del Sol. You know,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Cosmo Canyon's not a tourist attraction, and
But
it
you-
very much is like a tourist kind of destination. They're doing a lot of their spiritual stuff there. There's the guys giving the talks and stuff. Like you watch one of the guys give like a planetary talk, whatever. All that stuff is there, but it's just like what a weird way to turn this.
But you got to think of the world now too. Like when it comes to tourism, you got to focus on, you got the beach for the dude bros and the jocks, and then you have all this other stuff, and like Cosmo Canyons for like the hippies and
The yoga people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yoga, lots of
what are
yoga.
the people? What are the people that we hate? They have the barista. They have the stupid handlebar mustaches, and they wear steampunk bowler hats. Hipsters.
Hipsters. It's the Cosmo
Hipsters.
Canyon's
Let's
the
go.
hipster town, I guess.
Yeah, but that's like with the hipster town. We're like, oh, you guys are so into nature. You know, like they would like, they'd be like them and like hippies and yoga people would like go there and with their for their faux spirituality. They probably use it as a tourist attraction to fund their research, because how else are they going to fund their research?
I don't know,
because Shinra's not going to help them counteract the, their money.
Yeah.
So that I'm sure they
weird
they opened up to the idea for it for financial gain. I guarantee it's something like that.
That's
like,
not mentioned in the game at all. You're just
but you gotta think
theorizing.
That makes sense.
I think logically it makes sense. It was still jarring to see
very jarring,
that many people. I'm like, whoa! I'm like, y'all are not part of Red 13's tribe. Who are all you people?
It's also a confusing enough place to get around that they give you warp points.
Yes, there are warp points in the town
that you warp around. It is a convoluted place to move around.
Very vertical.
I mean, the obvious important stuff here is now Red 13, now Nanaki's, his storyline stuff here is really is done really well. The gi stuff, the added gi stuff, I don't think now granted we maybe we needed more gi plot line originally. This didn't do it for me. This added gi section, I don't know. What do you think?
Oh man, I was sitting there going, did I just mentally block all of this in the original game when the gi was going into their explanation? I was genuinely thrown by it.
It's not there. Yeah, in the original.
Yeah, I didn't think it was there either, and I was shocked by how much they added, but I'm not against them building out additional lore or adding to the context of the original lore. I can't tell what's new for Rebirth and where the line stops.
I think a lot of the stuff is new, because that dude talking about that they're not originally from the planet.
All the gi stuff is new. Now, granted, maybe there's some random crap you can read in OG that I don't remember, but this whole sequence also, it's another sequence that doesn't pan out. Like you have this big conversation with this guy, and he tells you to get the black materia, and you run off, and the rest of the game just happens. They don't ever you don't come back to this.
Right.
It could in the next one.
It
could in part 3. Yeah, you're right. But it's just like another thing.
And I would expect it to. I would expect it to play a role in part 3 at some point.
Well, because you got to go back to Cosmo Canyon in part 3, of course.
Before the gi stuff is actually.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Go ahead. Go. Sorry, Billy.
Did we go to Cosmo Canyon and skip over Gungaga? Or is Gungaga after Cosmo Canyon?
Cosmo Canyon is after Gungaga. We glazed over a lot of the Gungaga. The biggest part of Gungaga was the reactor.
Yeah.
Small things. The map is very the Gungaga map is very.
That's my least favorite map in the entire game.
Yeah, it's Blake's least favorite map.
So bad. That map is so bad.
That map it's very confusing, very vertical. There's a new chocobo there. Doesn't help. Really, it hits mushrooms and bounces. Yeah. The Gungaga map. Okay, I hate it. Okay, the thing about the Gungaga map, we got to keep moving. But the Gungaga, I say the same thing about Cosmo Canyon. The Gungaga, visually, I love.
It's a jungle.
I love that it's actually a jungle now. It looks cool. Getting around is a nightmare.
Yeah.
Getting the Gungaga village is fine. It's a village in the woods. It's all fine. It's all good. Running into Cessna there was interesting. Another character that if you played Crisis Core.
Reunion.
Yeah.
She's from Crisis Core, and she was like a weird gap. God. Real quick. So she's a gap in she doesn't die. She doesn't die in Crisis Core. So me and Blake could play Crisis Core like a year ago. She's like, well shit, where's Cessna?
Yeah.
Where's she at in remake, and will she be in Rebirth? Blah blah blah. Well, she just shows up in Gungaga, she's there. Really cool to see her. Doesn't mean anything.
It doesn't mean anything. Yeah, they don't do anything with her. Yeah, I agree.
Absolutely nothing.
A little bit with her side quests.
A little bit, but not enough to be like, oh, she's still alive and she knows Zach and she's living in his hometown. Like maybe part 3.
Well,
maybe part 3. But she's like knows Zach more than anybody else would know him.
She was
maybe less than
she's an ex-Turk.
Maybe less than Aerith, and she's an ex-Turk. Like should be a little more important. Obviously, doesn't exist at all in Final Fantasy VII OG. But I liked her originally. I liked her in Crisis Core, and she was fine in this. Maybe she's a bigger role later. Maybe she disappears. Who knows?
And the fact that Aerith gets to talk to Zach's parents.
Yeah, Aerith does talk to Zach.
That was a pretty
pivotal, really special scene.
Yeah, to his parents. Good stuff there. And same kind of thing with Cosmo Canyon. Cosmo Canyon looks incredible.
Abysmal to get around.
Abysmal to get around.
Yeah.
Chocobo,
The flying chocobos suck all the butt. Like the flying chocobos are terrible. The gliding mechanic, like all that sucks. But looking at it, Cosmo Canyon, it's a big Grand Canyon looking thing. It's how you want it to look, how it should have looked originally. Looks cool.
Yeah.
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 And we're glazing over
wild.
big gigantic maps. These are all huge maps.
Oh,
full
I
of
mean, we have to.
collectibles.
Yeah, we would
Full of
legitimately be here
collectibles
for
and
7 episodes if we didn't. We
pointless
have
mini
to.
games
Yeah.
and whatnot.
Yeah.
I will say one thing in Cosmo Canyon I do want to touch on that really hit me, and I'm sure it hit y'all, was when they did the Nanaki storyline with him finding his dad and finding out the truth about his dad. When he looked up at the petrified statue, it looked identical to the original game to me. It looked like they
did it on
recreated it. Yeah, I got chills. I was like, "Oh my gosh!" I'm watching the moment, and the moon in the sky, and the tears. I was like, legitimately, I was like, "Oh, this is so good." And that's honestly kind of how I feel about Rebirth. Is there's a lot of spaghetti in there. There's a lot of weird stuff that doesn't make sense, but the parts that matter, they really nailed, or at least most of them. Quite a few of them they nailed.
You talked about they thought this is a different story, but they nailed these moments, these picturesque moments from your childhood, the stuff that you remember seeing his dad in that cutscene. They copy it. Like you see these exact moments are present throughout the entire. They don't skip any of them. They skip I gotta get to where they skip a whole town later, but we'll get to that in a minute. What's after? Feel like a dummy. What's after Cosmo Canyon? Oh, Sid.
Yeah, well, Sid to get to Cosmo Canyon. Sid's in Gungaga.
Yeah, you need Sid to get
Sid's in Gungaga.
I told you.
We're the worst podcasters ever.
No way.
Sid present, not playable. Perfectly fine. Kind of a smaller role in this. Gets a bigger role near the end. Has one of my favorite jokes. I want to share in a little bit. He says one of my favorite jokes in the game.
Nice.
Sid's exactly who you want him to be. I mean, he's a little more chill and maybe not as swear heavy.
Yeah,
thought he was going to be.
They definitely chilled him out. They didn't have him come out in the wife beater, smacking women around. Like, no, they definitely chilled Sid out.
That's what I'm wondering. So I mentioned the town. The town they skip. Rocket Town doesn't exist in this game. Very weird to cut out Rocket Town. I'm wondering if that's because they're trying to avoid. It could just be in part 3. Are we trying to avoid Sid's wife beating in a modern video game? I don't know. It's a touchy subject to have into a. Well, he's like verbally abusive. Not
I don't think he ever abused her, but he's very
verbally abusive to his wife in the original. But anyway, Sid's around. The tiny Bronco's there. It's all really cool.
Yeah.
What's her name? Yuffie hates flying.
Oh yeah.
Funny stuff.
We did talk about the mine cart between you have to pick if you want a smooth ride or a heavy ride for Barrett or Yuffie down the Mount Corel.
She apparently suffers from staggering motion sickness. For somebody who's
that's hilarious. Oh jeez.
That course that you fly to Cosmo Canyon, all the Cosmo Canyon effect, you go back, and I think you fly again because you fly from there to Nibelheim.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So Nibelheim stuff. Yeah. I was finally glad to see the Nibelheim map is actually the smallest map. What a breath of fresh air that! What a breath of fresh air that was. Nibelheim map is so small.
Also, have my favorite chocobo.
Yeah,
the water chocobo is really cool.
Oh, really?
The water spout chocobo was. It was the coolest chocobo. It was the most unique and easiest to get around in.
Yeah, the most convenient chocobo to use. The water chocobo. So Nibelheim's important, obviously. You get here in the we all know the plot line. What specifically jumped out at you? Not getting to Vincent yet, but what are your feelings for getting to Nibelheim in a modern setting?
Yeah, I was surprised that they brought in Kate Sith's technical element here, like needing to hack the control panel and like needing to get the permission and access cards. I thought that was interesting. I don't know if I loved it per se, but I thought the visuals of the town were incredible. I thought the mood of the town, I think talking to NPCs, I thought it was great. I thought that was overall done really well.
It's not touristy. What are they doing? They're
a medical facility.
They're a medical thing now. I don't think that's in the original. They set up they're for the cloaked guys, the black robes, right?
Yeah.
So they're like this whole town's like doing this medical thing for the black.
It drops the ball that these guys are all they're ex-soldiers and they're suffering from degradation and oversaturation.
No, we knew that.
I mean, yeah, but they tell you we know that because we know, but they tell this is where the exposition happens.
Okay.
And you find out about all of them and everything. And don't you fight Roach?
how we feel about how they handle is
Oh, jeez.
Roach's main story, right? He's not side quest.
Roach's main story.
He's for a character that they invented in remake, and everybody's like, "What the hell is this guy? He's irritating as hell." You fight him in Junon, don't you?
You fight him in Junon.
But you know,
Don't you mean my friend? Isn't that
irritating? Yeah, hate that character. Absolutely, completely unnecessary character. They pardon my language, they shit on him. They just write that character
zombie
right out of the
rift was
story.
activated.
Yeah, they just like, oh, he's degraded. We're done with this character
They
now.
use it as an example. He gets beat up by Cloud, does further experiments with Hojo,
Yeah,
and then he tries to beat you again. He's supposed to be his best self.
yeah.
You beat him again, and then he just like has a mental breakdown.
And that's the end of that new character they wrote into the plot line for no reason.
But I mean, he's a cautionary tale. He's what can happen to Cloud. Yeah, we don't like him or whatever, but it's real. This can happen to Cloud.
Yeah,
because he is. They hammer it home like, let's get rid of a character we don't like by giving a really important lesson to the characters in the party.
I guess.
Yeah. You exist to explain this part of the plot, and he does a good job for that. So it's like
he will not be missed.
He will not be missed.
Yeah. Overall, I like Nibelheim. I thought overall it was really good. The mansion vibes were spooky. Like I like that sequence. I like the flashbacks. You know go ahead. Sorry.
I'm sorry. Well, I thought the mansion was dramatically
tiny.
Tiny down. They really
very tiny.
They really locked down the mansion, and also it's really, really dumb for me because I play the OG. The elevator to go down is in Rebirth is on the left side of the mansion. In the original game, it's on the right side of the mansion. Why that bothers me, I don't know. You go down to the basement you go upstairs in the Shinner mansion, go through a secret door, then go all the way down. There's not even really an elevator. But this game, they're just like, yeah, we're not doing none of the upstairs. Here's an elevator on the left side that just goes down to the science part. And I was like, oh, I guess for a creepy ass mansion in the original game, we're just not doing it this time. Okay, that's fine, I guess.
Did you do any of the piano mini games?
I did not. I didn't touch them. I didn't touch them in Costa del Sol. I didn't touch them there either. No.
I just didn't know because there's like Tifa and story and piano. I thought maybe because don't you unlock something using the piano in Nibelheim originally?
I think you do actually.
Her limit break.
Limit break,
yeah. This is the part that you mentioned the boxes, right? With Casey in the boxes.
Yeah.
Sucks. All the plot stuff here is great. Then this is where you get Vincent here, and this is awesome. Like, I didn't need the boss fight necessarily, but like the meeting of him is kind of handled exactly the way you talk to him multiple times, and you have to like keep whatever. But his character is he's quirky and strange. Like his the strangest vibe of all the characters. But it was really exciting to see get Vincent pop up, who's also not going to be playable until part 3. But I think his reveal and his introduction here is handled really well.
But then it does that really cool part where he's like, you can look wherever you want, but don't go in this room. But if you have to kind of go into that room to trigger the story, and Cloud gets to see he sees the revitalization chambers, him and Zach's chambers that they were in.
Yeah, that room's always there.
I know, but like then that's what triggers the boss fight. But then like you get to see the cutscene and Zach, and it's just really cool. I like that it was presented really well.
Mm-hmm.
It's great. I think Vincent for me is a character that they could have screwed up really badly. They could have because he's a fan favorite character, and it's very easy to go too goth vampire. It's very easy to go in one direction really hard, and I think they struck a good balance. I think they did a good job of him being quirky but also mysterious, but also kind of a badass and very anime. I was very impressed. I was honestly, of all the main party members, because we hadn't seen Sid and Vincent, I was really nervous going into this game, thinking like, man, it's hard to nail Vincent, but I thought they did a pretty good job. I was pretty impressed with them by the end of it.
His voice acting in English was super great.
Yeah. Everybody's English voice acting. They get that top-notch voice acting throughout.
And then he was just kind of he just looks awesome.
Yeah, that's why this is always a fan favorite.
The whole look of him just looked cool. And then when he transformed into the Galarian beast or the Galen beast, whatever it's called.
Yeah.
You're like, oh man, I can't wait to see him uncork this limit break.
Did they do the thing where they shot where it was like a shadow of him changing? Was that something else?
Yeah, they did a really cool what do you call it? Like artistic choice where they panned and saw his shadow, kind of like old school Universal Wolfman and stuff like that, where Jekyll and Hyde. It was really, I
It's
like how they
great.
did it. And also, saved him some money not having to animate a transformation sequence.
Yeah, and that's what I was thinking too. I was like, y'all save some money in the budget on that, but it still looks
And
good. It's still a
it
cool
looked cool.
artistic decision.
I think it was more artistic
Yeah.
choice than a budget
Yeah.
choice.
Both.
So what's next after
Yeah.
this? We hit a few more plot
After
points and wrap this
Nibelheim,
podcast.
you go. It's the Temple of the Ancients, don't you? After Nibelheim.
I think now is a good to the key. So this is where you have the you're flying the tiny bronco. Oh, what the weird part where it lets you fly the tiny bronco, sort of. Real
Yeah, I don't
weird.
understand.
Yeah.
It's like interactive loading screens. Is all
I
that
don't know
was.
what
Yeah.
that was.
Yep. Was
But
not a fan.
this is the part where the tiny bronco gets broken. It's always coming. It's handled differently. Original game, you're shot down through the Rocket Town sequence, so they're skipping the Rocket Town sequence, which I think for Sid's character is going to have to be in
It
part
has to
3.
happen, but I think they have to
I agree.
But you do the tiny bronco and they crash the bronco and because everybody knows the line, any landing you can walk away from is a good landing, but Sid says any landing you can swim away from. You know what I'm saying?
It's cute. Very, very cute throwback.
I actually laughed out loud for that line.
Oh, that's great.
The tiny bronco boat stuff I think is cool.
It's not bad. I mean, it gives you again stuff you didn't do, like pointless side quests.
Oh,
Like, get this compass and
forget all that much, but the look and feel of the tiny bronco as a boat, it works. It's fun. It looks cool.
And it does act as a it allows you to get to all the areas. Like this is the part because like
nice.
Tiny Bronco, you then
You
branch
can travel back to all the other maps.
all the areas and clean up if you didn't do 100% your first visit there.
Yeah,
I did because I never wanted to go back.
Yeah, and you have a whole ocean thing to deal with. Don't worry about that. The main thing is getting back because this part we're going to get the key sphere, right? Go back to Gold Saucer to get the key sphere.
That's right. Gold Saucer, yeah.
Okay, so that whole sequence is just a lot of fighting. I don't want to dwell on that. There's a lot of fighting. It's handled differently. I forget how it happens in the original game, but it's handled a little different. It's just a whole lot. It's a whole arena thing. A lot of fighting. The Don's back.
Corneo and his two bros.
Yeah, there's some funny stuff.
And Rio and Madam M and all them.
The thing I want to get to so we can wrap this podcast up is the ending stuff, which is really the forest of the ancients and the temple of the ancients, all this stuff. Oh,
right.
Being done so temple of the ancients is first,
and then the forest is a little after.
No, the forest is after.
Is it after?
I don't know if it's mixed up.
It happened during.
I don't know
because
it might be a flash. Yeah,
I forget because you get to the temple of the ancients via the little tiny bronco, don't you? You.
Yeah, and Sid and Vincent stay behind, and they're like, "We're not playable in this game. We'll let you go inside."
So the forest part they rapid because I think the end parts is really fast forwarded.
Yeah,
I don't really like that part. So the Temple of the Ancients, we can't talk about this place. It's too big.
Yeah.
This place,
MC Escher.
Very MC. They blew this place out of proportion. This place is gigantic now. It's a huge sequence that I thought was literally an hour long in the original game. It's like a whole endeavor here. Puzzles, fights, all kinds of stuff. Is anything particular?
Access to Aerith's ancient abilities, her Cetra abilities.
That was new. Yeah,
that was cool and definitely worth noting.
Yeah. Anything else?
I'm curious.
Go ahead.
I want to hear your thoughts on something because this is something I bumped on in the original FF7 remake, and I'm curious to hear y'all. I felt like in the original FF7 remake, the place where in Rebirth, the Temple of the Ancients is a progression wise as where like Hojo's lab is at the end of remake. You're basically at the climax of the game. You're at the very end of the game. For me in remake, Hojo's lab felt like it was hitting the brakes on the climax, they made Hojo's lab this big thing where you got to have Red 13 jump on, grab these switches, and it drove me nuts because I'm like, I just want to get to the end and the finale. And I honestly kind of felt that Temple of the Ancients gave me similar vibes, not to the same extent, but it was so long, and there were things I liked about it. I liked seeing the Turks pop up, but there was just so many back and forths and so many extra rooms added and encounters added that I was like, yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Completely agree with you. What I'm leading after that is like this place is so big and drawn out that when it gets to the stuff I was curious, like there's the forest part and then the actual city of the ancients, all of that is streamlined beyond belief.
I think it's just cutscenes.
Yeah. So like you miss out on all of that stuff because you spend so much time in the temple, which isn't as interesting as the end game stuff. And I feel like you said they blew this up out of proportion. You said hit the brakes on the freaking momentum of the game, like staggered. Like the game staggers right here a little bit, and then you get to the end and you're thinking like, how long is this game?
Yeah.
it's got to get to because we know you got to get to the part that we're thinking about, and you're just like, golly, this Temple of the
Exactly.
Ancients part is so big, and then when you get to the part that you want to get to, it's just like bam, 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 and it's happening.
Well, didn't
Yeah.
in the Temple of the Ancients, didn't it do that thing where everyone had to have their own spirit vision,
Yep.
their
Yeah.
vision quest,
Yeah.
except for Cloud for whatever reason, but everyone else did their own little vision quest besides Cloud.
Yeah,
And then I think during that same
Right.
moment, Sing gets shot and shows up, or he's shot there. I
he
forget
gets
that.
stabbed by a Sephiroth,
Yeah.
doesn't he?
Yeah,
He gets like
Yeah.
jabbed by Sephiroth. Did you ever show up just jabs people occasionally?
yeah. But that whole vision quest thing was cool because again, it offered some insight to the characters. But I'm like, oh, I'm doing one for every character.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Except for Vincent and Sid.
Except for Vincent,
Yeah.
Sid, and Cloud.
Yeah.
This director, he loves to like be like, cool, we're at the very end of the game. Let's add another 3-hour dungeon. And I'm like, bro, we don't need another 3-hour dungeon. We're at the climax. Let us enjoy the climax. We're all ready to see the hype.
Yeah.
But no shade to anybody who enjoyed those sequences. There are a lot of cool contextual moments there. I just
Mhm.
felt like for me,
There's cutscenes.
I was ready
and
for my
characters.
60-hour
Getting
playthrough.
to see
Yeah.
Elena and Sing.
Well,
and all the
imagine being
turtles.
Yeah.
imagine being there and you're coming up on 100 hours. So
Exactly. Yeah. And I was only
Uh,
at 60, so I can only imagine how people that were 100 felt like.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that's fair.
But I mean, it was cool. I did like
so well they didn't
flipping
do
the
the
world and everything, but it was a lot.
Yeah.
the important stuff here is like the Cloud, like Sephiroth taking control of Cloud and Cloud giving him the black materia, which still kind of happens. It's handled a little
Yeah.
different. It's handled a little differently. The Kate Sith stuff is maybe not as good as it was in the original because he goes in there and triggers the thing, and it kind of does that stuff, and then he kind of
Well, he holds up the
like he'll holds up
Yeah.
the thing.
yeah.
The pillar. Yeah.
Which is kind of it's all kind of okay. This is where I kind of thought some of the how they handled him, like talking to him wise, was kind of like not handled
Mm.
kind of
Everyone
correctly.
kind of forgives him a little bit. They're like,
A little
hey,
bit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They think he's dying, but he's not really dying.
Yeah.
Are we ready to get into the finale? Are we ready to dive
Yeah.
into that the big ultimate finale?
Ironically, the shortest part of the game is how they rapid fire through this series of sequences.
Yeah.
Let's jump. I want to jump straight to the pivotal moment because we got to wrap this podcast up among other reasons. Aerith at the thing praying for holy whatever to stop meteors, to stop all this stuff.
Yeah.
Sephiroth comes down for the scene we all know about. Why
Do they not show it?
Why do they not show it?
Right.
Why is there a flash of Cloud blocking it?
Right.
Why is there so in the original game she dies and she's gone.
Right.
He stabs her, she's done, you fight Genova, and it's really somber and crazy.
It's playing her theme during that boss fight.
Exactly.
It's awesome.
Yeah. That's a great
It
moment.
doesn't show him stab her in this game. That's insane.
Doesn't you
Yeah.
stab her? Do you even do the send off? Where you walk to the lake and drop her?
No.
You don't even do that.
You don't do that. There's you at the lake afterwards. But I was just like, him blocking the thing for one thing blew my mind. I think this is where the game this is the most important sequence in the whole game, and they mess all this is wrong.
They fumbled it.
They fumbled it really
badly.
they fumbled it badly, you know, and then people who are like waiting to hear about the moment, everybody knows the moment Eric gets stabbed. It's all wrong. But not only is it shown wrong, him blocking blows my mind because he doesn't actually block it. Is he losing his mind? What's happening?
Right.
She's also present for the rest of the game.
Yeah.
She appears in the boss fight.
There the rest of these sequences. That's so irritating. The hard cut, her dying and being gone is how this should be handled.
Yeah.
You know, I get she has some planetary, she's connected to the planet and she can maybe talk to, I mean, they're adding this. You can talk to Cloud. Like, I don't need part 3, her showing up and talking the entire time.
I don't.
The director wanted to have his cake and eat it too. He wanted to kill her and save her. And in trying to split the baby in half, that's exactly what happened. It's like, man, you should have gone in one direction and been confident and either done something new or stuck to the old, but trying to do both, it was just spaghetti and it didn't make sense.
She's in fights after she's killed. She's literally in combat. And this, obviously, we failed to mention all the Zack sequences.
Stuff
it culminates here, sort of.
Yes. Yeah.
Like Zack's fighting some stuff, Cloud's fighting some stuff, Aerith with Cloud fighting some stuff.
And
what are we fighting? And they're talking. Cloud runs into Zack and they talk, and then they're fighting something, and just like,
can we?
Whoa!
This completely out of left field, but this reminded me. it's an older movie from like the 90s, a movie called Frequency, and it stars Jim Caviezel and Dennis Quaid. Have you ever seen it or heard of it?
I've never seen it. No, never. I'll put it on my bucket list.
Because well, basically the whole point of that movie is kind of spoilers on honesty. But there's a part where there's an aurora borealis, and Jim Caviezel is talking over his ham radio to some guy, and then it's revealed that that guy is actually 20 years in the past.
Oh
And then
wow,
they're
that's
connecting
wild.
through the aurora borealis as like a weird space time thing. And there's
Wow.
other stuff I'm skipping over. I don't want to spoil that if you want to watch the movie, but
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
pretty cool that, how that happens. This is what it reminded me of: is that they're being able to communicate through this small, tiny window of time where celestial energies align, and then the eclipse
Maybe.
is over, and then Zach's like, I don't know if we'll ever see each other again.
What is causing? I mean,
Sephiroth and the bad whispers and the good whispers. Again, it wasn't handled great, and I was more confused than I was watching it. I was like, I'd rather there just be Zach be alive.
Yeah, yeah,
And
100%.
I'd rather Zach been alive and been like working with the Turks,
Yeah.
and
that's what I was hoping. Like he would just be like off doing something else,
or been lied to, and like the Turks were like, hey, someone's kidnapped your girl, and we're trying to save him. He's claimed to be an ex-soldier, and like he could have like they could have built
fighting Zach or something.
They could have built up Cloud to be a bad guy for Zach, and Zach not know that it was Cloud.
1,000,000%. I feel like yeah, that's what that I agree, Blake, and that is my biggest beef with Rebirth is that they end remake with the promise of an unknown journey. They show Zach being alive. We're all super excited and super hyped, and then it turns out he's in some other timeline and he's
none
off
of
by
it's
himself,
actually real.
and none of it's actually real. And it's like it felt like such a sucker punch, and now all of us are collectively like, well, maybe in part 3, maybe we'll hope and pray that he shows up, and it's like, damn, Square, just throw us a bone. Like, let it, give us what we're hoping for. I completely agree. This felt like a shark jump, and it felt like, tune in next week to see if they clear the land. And it's like, come on, man. Like, just give the fans something to root for here. It felt very frustrating for me.
Because even at the end, when he like comes back or whatever to his own timeline, he
Yeah.
like has a brief conversation with Biggs, who in that timeline's alive.
Right.
And I'm just like, so even because immediately his sections are short. They're like maybe an hour, if that.
He walks around and talks to Biggs, basically.
Yeah.
But you're like, so all that's
what's annoying. What's annoying is those sequences are intriguing until you get to the ending
and find out that
you're very curious about what is happening. They don't mean anything.
Yeah.
But I hate that it's so like you're so like every time I was like, oh cool, a Zach sequence. Like what's he talking to Biggs? This is cool.
He's gonna build up towards something, right?
Yeah.
No.
I was worried.
Shame on the record.
I was worried. I told Blake, was I thinking
that
everything
Zach was going to save Aerith or something?
No, that everything was in Cloud's head. Like he was just going to wake up at Aerith's house and nothing had ever freaking happened.
That'd been crazy. Yeah.
It didn't. But yeah, I don't know. You got more. So I said, you're agreeing with me, but what do you think of the Sephiroth, the sword sequence, the most important moment in Final Fantasy history? I would dare say.
Yeah.
And they cut away.
Yeah.
You got strong feelings.
And I will say that's not a controversial take, Andrew. That is just true. It is the most iconic sequence in Final Fantasy, in honestly JRPG history. It is in the short list, and they cut away from it. What were they thinking? Yeah.
Especially modern gaming. There's no reason because like it's in the original rated T for teen Final Fantasy VII PlayStation 1 game. The sword goes through her back. Out there. Granted, there's no blood or anything.
I think that's the only time in the whole game. Do they show blood there? They show blood like drip on the ground. There's like one moment where they showed a little bit of blood.
Maybe there is.
I think that was the only time because people get damaged and broke and exploded, but there's no blood in the whole game.
But there's no reason in a modern game, to not show a sword go through this woman. Like it's so. And
then show like blood coming.
There's no reason, unless they're trying some bull crap to say maybe she didn't die. We didn't show her die. We didn't show her get stabbed. We didn't show it, so maybe she's actually alive.
Yeah,
this is a trick to get you in part 3 that she's actually alive. But
turned into a force ghost, and she's connected to the.
She basically is a force ghost. But the rest of this game, and then the ending, and then whatever stuff, she is a force ghost basically. What do you call it? A live stream ghost.
Yeah,
she's alive and dead. It's not satisfying, and it's
no one interacted with her
except for Clyde can see her.
Yeah, when you're just like. Well, Clyde's also the only person who's been infused with Mako live stream energy. So
that's true. Yeah. That's
Okay.
true.
So I'm good. So
I
I don't want to end the
yeah.
whole thing on a somber note, but God, the
They
ending, I
just
was so
mishandled. They fumbled the ending.
They fumble the ending. Yeah, I agree with that, and I love the game. And I recommend the game. I was on Reddit the other day, and this
mm,
is I think this is probably a good question to close the episode out with, or think about as we wind down. But I
mhm.
saw a person on the gaming subreddit who was like, "Hey, I want to play Rebirth, but I don't know if I should play the OG FF7. Should I play the OG FF7 before playing Rebirth?" And I
I always
replied to
say
that
yes.
guy, "Yeah, I would say yes too." And that's exactly what I said. I said, "Hey, man, if you like JRPGs of the past and if you want that context and that history and that lore, I think it only makes Rebirth better. I think it only makes Rebirth a better, more throwback, nostalgic experience." And I felt the same way. That's exactly what I told him. I said, "Man, I would recommend playing it and living through it." But no, there's no excusing this ending. This ending was spaghetti. They threw everything at the wall. A lot of it didn't land.
I read
Ugh.
the one Reddit thing I read, and we've barely, crazily enough, barely mentioned him is Sephiroth. I read a Reddit thing the other day that somebody says one of the few things they didn't like. This is a person who the whole post they loved it, everything about it. The one thing they didn't like was Sephiroth's presence in Rebirth. Is that they said I like this. I don't know the person's post. I don't know their name, but I like the quote. Is why does why does Sephiroth only show up and talk in Kingdom Hearts speak in this game?
Right. Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
he disappears. I
Yeah,
was like,
Yeah.
yeah,
that is
I
kind of
get
true.
that. Yeah, and his presence is somewhat lacking in Rebirth. I like him and Aerith both. I feel like, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
And his
And
most pivotal moment they cut away on.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's trippy.
I hated the fact that we fought the big boss fight was safe for Sephiroth. Why are we
That
Yeah.
was
fighting the
nut.
final
That was
boss?
nuts.
Yeah,
What
why are
was
we
that?
fighting the
Yeah.
final boss of the game at the end? Why am I fighting safe for Sephiroth? What?
Makes no sense. Yeah, makes no sense at this
I
point.
forgot about that.
Because it's when you
I
fight
blacked
Bizarro
that out
Sephiroth
apparently.
and then Safer Sephiroth and the actual Sephiroth in the original game. Why am I
Yeah.
fighting Safer Sephiroth?
Yeah.
That's bonkers. It's
Very
like when you
weird.
it's like when
Yeah.
you fought Genova at the end of remake.
Yeah.
Well, before you fought, well, even fighting Sephiroth at the end of the remake was nuts.
Yeah.
Last
Yeah.
dumb thing is I'm wondering about at the very end of the game, post credit, whatever I can put it, like they've Sid's fixed the tiny Bronco. What's that say
Yeah.
about the high wind in part 3? Why do you
Right.
need a high wind if the tiny Bronco's fixed?
Right.
What a weird thing to do.
The tiny Bronco can't carry everybody.
Does it just kind of shake you a little bit?
It's more than a little shaky.
Yeah.
But I think because getting the high wind also lets you get Marlene, you get Elmira, you
Hmm.
get you get more people.
Yeah, I guess, yeah. But anyway, that's just a small amount of grab. I'm glad.
Yeah.
I wish the ending was better for you, Clyde. That it's cool. We all agree, whatever. That
Yeah.
we had the same kind of feelings about it. I kind of wish you got. I feel bad for you. I wish you got just because I wish you got more out of it or anything. But it kind of if it's a poorly handled ending, it's a poorly handled. I haven't
Yeah.
read any posts online. Everybody's like, I can't believe the ending was so good. I've not read
Yeah.
any of those. And I read a lot of Final Fantasy posts.
Visually, it was stunning. It was cool to have Cloud and Zack fight alongside each other. and I
That was
thought was
cool.
great.
Even though
But
It did make
led to
sense.
nothing, but it
it
was
makes
cool.
no sense. It's like it makes no freaking sense, and they just decide to have their cake and eat it too. And it's a bummer. But the game overall, I really enjoyed, and I love the music and the art and it gave me the feels at times and the
Mhm.
Dine stuff and screw that Kate said box game, but everything else was really great. I really enjoyed it. I recommend it wholeheartedly.
Mhm.
If you play through it again, I can't recommend any of the mini games, but I
Okay.
don't know how if you can find a specific guide that is for the character side quests, so you can get
Okay.
more of the characters.
Yeah,
Because
there's a set in Cosmo Canyon that gives you backstory on some Avalanche on Biggs and Wedge and stuff like
Oh,
that. There's some
nice.
flashbacks of Biggs and Wedge that are like it's kind of I mean they're
they
dead.
came to Cosmo Canyon and learned about planetology and stuff like
There's
that.
a whole
Oh,
thing.
that
So,
is so
I would try to
cool.
find
I'll
like
have to
a
check that out.
guide that gives you story content side quests. That's kind of
Cool.
like our feelings, I guess, the general of an experience of a massive, genuinely massive freaking game. I see say mainline in like 60
Yeah.
odd hours. It's bonkers.
Oh,
I have a question though.
Yes,
It's
yes.
something I observed while playing. This will be my last final thought, and then I know because we're trying to close out. But
Mhm.
you played through the main story. We all did. Everyone had genuine interactions with
Oh, yeah.
everybody.
Mhm.
Everybody. Kate Sith was cool with Tifa and Aerith, and it was like, and and Barrett was really awesome with Yuffie. Like again, it was like a father-daughter relationship. Of course, Tifa and Aerith were bestie girl pals and
Oh,
stuff
yeah.
like that, doing little their victory. I did love that part
When Cloud went in the closet
when Cloud goes into Aerith or Tifa's bedroom,
in the
and they
flashback.
both immediately go, "You asshole!" at the
Yeah.
same time, and that was really cute and really worked out.
Yeah. No,
But
that's great. Very sisterly.
Yeah, the thing that I don't understand is everybody gets together, everyone's got moments, except for Tifa and Red 13. They have no alone
Oh,
time, they have no interaction time.
Blake's
interesting. I didn't notice
Blake
that.
Blake's theory is they never speak to each other the entire game.
I don't think they actually
Wow.
speak. They
Wow.
don't
When I replay it, I will take a
He
tally
said, he
if I
said
catch
he
it.
was like kind of watching it the whole game. He's like, I don't think Tifa and Red 13 ever interact.
because they have nothing to talk about.
Yeah, his
True.
characters. Yeah,
Like
Yeah.
Tifa, Aerith and Red 13 have the planet, Cloud
Yeah.
and Red 13 have being experimented on.
yeah.
Barrett and Red 13 have being minorities.
Yeah.
I basically because
Yeah, whatever.
but and then like him and Yuffie because they're both kids, they have like
Yeah.
the energetic and Kate. I don't
Yeah.
think Kate Sith has a lot to say with 13, other than the fact that the science and that he knows the planet and stuff like that. But Tifa, even especially after her experience,
Yeah.
she doesn't have anything. Like, there is no actual like because when the game splits your party up and stuff like that, because
Yeah.
Red 13 and Barrett, come in the mines and stuff like that. But there's never a Tifa Red 13
Moment.
split up where they're stuck together.
Yeah.
Red 13 is always paired off with somebody else, or
That's which is a strange thing to think about.
it's like I was thinking about it. I
Yeah.
was like, Tifa and Red 13 have no interactions really.
Yeah, they have nothing to bond over. I'll keep an eye out for that on a replay because I do want to at some point go back and replay this. Certainly before the third part comes out, but just
Yeah.
with a more completionist mindset. Not every mini game because that would drive me crazy. But
I'm curious to hear your. Make sure you
Make sure you try them all at least once.
Yeah, I want to get your rage messages on some of these mini games. Tell me how much you hate certain things
this
happening.
freaking frog mini game. I gotta jump over this damn thing.
Did you like the fact though that they did solidify that Reeves is Kate Sith?
I did like that. Yeah, and I think
They
that's
did
great.
100% solidify that.
Yeah,
I did think it was weird talking about the Loveless scene. One
Yeah.
thing that blew my mind was I think Kate Sith did Inception because he's already a robot in a headset being controlled by another person, but then that
Oh, yeah.
robot puts on a headset to experience a VR reality thing.
It makes no sense. It makes no logical sense at all. That dude
He
is
Inception himself.
He Inception himself.
Yeah, it is levels of inception that we cannot comprehend in our mortal minds.
But
Yeah.
that part made me laugh out loud. I was like, wait a minute, because you see Kate Sith put on the headset to watch the
You're like,
the
wait a
play.
minute, you're not a creature. Yeah, no, it just makes no sense.
Isn't he already a guy sitting in an office wearing a headset?
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right.
Man, and I think I have bad lag playing video games. The lag on that would be insane. I just want to say,
Yeah.
freaking thank y'all for having me on. It is so much fun always
Anytime.
talking about Rebirth and Final Fantasy. I know this is a game that means a lot to us, and it's just so much fun to jam with you all about this. And I know that some of it's spaghetti, but I think the moments that are there that are great make this a worthwhile experience for Final Fantasy fans and FF7 fans. And I hope as many people play it as possible.
I'm sure. Yeah, it's not making Square any money. Apparently, if you look at their posts about their financial records, it's not
Dang.
making nowhere near enough money. But anyway,
Do you have any hopes for part 3?
So many. I hope that they really fulfill their promise of this being an unknown journey. I hope that Zach is solidified, is real. I want to see them go off the rails. I like that they've maintained the integrity of the original story, but at this point they've flirted enough with going off the rails that I think just screw it, give the people what they want, let Zach come back, let him be a member of the party. I would love to see it go that, and that's heresy for a lot of Final Fantasy fans that don't want to see it change, but I think it'd be cool to see it go totally wild. I also would love to see full-on war between Wu-Tai Shinra. I think that would be dope. I think that would be super, super cool. They're kind of teeing that up, like they're building up the political tension.
it dabbles in that in Crisis Core, but we don't see full out war ever. Yeah.
Yeah.
And because you have that, you have the out mountain ice town.
Oh yeah, the Ice Town. Yeah, there's lots of stuff.
Yeah,
There's
there's
like
lots of stuff depending, and then maybe, like I said, maybe they're open with Rocket Town and the Corel train. That'd be a good opener.
Yeah.
No telling.
Yeah, to allow you
What
to get
are y'all-
access to.
what are your hopes?
to
What are your hopes and
Vince
dreams
Sid.
for part 3?
But
Got to see Tifa and Scarlet on the cannon slapping each other.
we gotta have that slap fight.
There's no way they've done every other goofy thing. That's got to be in there.
There
Don't
has
check it
to-
out, Square. Don't you dare.
They have to have an all-out just slap fight.
Obviously, the obvious things are The weapons, all the weapons have to be present. There's
They
no,
have
there's
to
no
be.
way.
And they got to be transformed. They can't be the stupid fat whales. They got to be
all that
the
crap's got to be there.
weapons.
How there's who knows how they will handle. They've already teased Emerald and Ruby, like their posters are in Rebirth. It's like
Yeah.
teases, so they're making you aware that like we know they're gonna be something. So Emerald and Ruby will be an interesting way to how they will address super bosses that obviously didn't exist apparently until the American version, which is so strange.
Very weird. Yeah.
I don't know. We have all these parts of these podcasts where we guess and we're like wrong about everything when the game comes out. So I don't know how much time I want to spend on this. We're all
You gotta
all our podcasts about Final Fantasy have been wrong every time we've said anything
you
about
gotta
it.
put it out in the world, man. It's the gift.
Hey.
You put it out in the world and hope that it comes back to you.
Yeah.
100%.
think-
What are your hopes for the finale, Blake?
For me, because there's a lot
Yeah.
left, and
Surprising amount left. Yeah.
you have
A lot
Ultimate
of hanging
Weapon,
threads.
being
Yeah.
chased around, chasing Ultimate Weapon around the world will be kind of
Mm.
crazy
Yeah.
Do
in the
it.
High Wind if they do something like that, because you chase them all over the world,
Yeah.
and then if they really do it,
I mean, if you say it one there, how they going? How's the High Wind handled in Part 3?
exactly, and they got to do something. You got to find a way to see Omni Slash, and we got to find something to do at Knights of the Round. We can't have
Yeah.
as much as they've been dumping the summons on us. I want to see
Summons
Knights.
we didn't quick. Summons are still worthless in Rebirth. They were worthless in Remake, still worthless in Rebirth. Sorry, people who love them, they serve no purpose.
I summoned
Anyway.
every single one of them one time just to see the cutscene, and then I didn't do it again.
Nice.
But I do want to see Knights of the Round. I want to see that 13-minute cutscene when you summon Knights of the Round. I want to.
It's got to be there.
It's got to be. I mean, it's myth, in
Yeah.
Final Fantasy VII, and then of course you have the live stream when Cloud goes into the live stream. That'll be
huge.
Yeah.
and
Oh
maybe
yeah,
finally
Cloud's
ENT will
coma.
have
That's
something
gonna
to
be a
talk about.
Cloud's coma. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's a pivotal
Cloud's
mark.
Coma's gonna be great.
Yeah.
The crater is going to be amazing. I mean, there's going to be so many epic, iconic moments. I'm very excited for it, and I hope they decide to go full balls to the wall with it and just give it everything they've got and let the spaghetti fall where it may. But I hope they cash in on Zach. I really hope that Zach isn't just a meme for them. I hope that Zach is not just he just shows up for the final boss and bye. Like that would tick me off. I don't want them just to use Zach as just a token that they throw around as like, is he really alive or a parallel universe? I don't know. Give the fans what they want. Let them come back. Let's go crazy. Let the timeline be nuts.
Mhm.
It'd be yeah, and they said having not Zach, having Cloud realize that Zach died, but he thought Zach died in the river.
Yeah.
Zach, so he's like, oh, my buddy Zach, how did I not remember my friend Zach, my best friend Zach? Like he was like kind of getting distraught. Like they did a good job of like, again, sprinkling some of that stuff in, and maybe
Yeah.
Zach will have a more pivotal role, because what Tetsuya Nomura said the reason they focused on Reunion first is because that Zach's story would have a bigger role to play in the upcoming games, but
Hadn't yet.
this
Not
one
yet.
it did
Not yet. We ain't seen it yet. No, definitely
Yeah.
not. What do you think of the third title will be called? I asked this last time, and we what was our guess for the
I don't know.
third title?
They botched it by calling Crisis Core Reunion.
I know, right?
They
That was
did.
What
the
in the
guaranteed
world were they
line.
thinking? What in the
Yeah.
world were they thinking? They could have
Yeah.
called that. They could have called that anything, and they wasted Reunion on that because the reunion that all of the cloak guys are talking about doesn't happen until Part 3. That's at the freaking walking along that lightning road to the freaking crater thing. That's the reunion they're talking about. You're not going to call the third game Reunion? Come on.
I
Right.
mean, there's a couple of good R words. There's like resurrection, revenge.
Oh yeah.
Reunion's the word.
Yeah, reunion.
It is the word of Final Fantasy VII is reunion. It's
It
the
is.
word.
They could call it reunification or something, but yeah, I agree. Reunion would have been the
What's worse about it is there is no reunion in Crisis Core. There's no relevance to that word in that. I don't know if you played it. There's no relevance to that word in that plot line. They just knew at that time when they put that game out that word's important, so they attached it to a Final Fantasy game.
Yeah.
Like I was like,
I like Blake's suggestion. Revenge would be cool actually, because it makes sense, right? Like I mean,
revenge.
Revenge would be sick. That'd be dope.
Well, you don't need revenge if Aerith is alive. Come on.
That's true. Yeah.
We don't know. We're not
entirely sure. We didn't see it on the screen.
Yeah.
She could be alive.
But Revenge, Final Fantasy Revenge, make it like a slightly, because everyone's like, we got to kill it, because everyone will be focused on avenging Aerith. But I think Revenge might be too on the nose.
Maybe.
Yeah, a little bit. Well, thank y'all very much for having me on. It is always a blast doing this. I cannot wait to talk about Part 3, and I'll hit y'all up after I expose myself to a million mini games and drive myself crazy with fraud,
free.
choke mini games, and I'm not looking forward to going back into Gangaga's forest though. Ugh, I
Yeah.
hate the navigating in there, but yeah,
Well,
I will let y'all know how that goes.
yeah. If you want to spend 1 minute or however long you want to spend, we'd be remiss if you didn't mention people finally have Clyde content on the internet. We met you through
Oh,
we met you through a podcast. It feels like forever ago. You have been busy doing live stuff, as far as I know, for a long time, and hadn't had a chance to have a presence on the internet. But not
yes.
only do you have a new, fresh presence on the internet, it seems to be doing really well, better than this podcast, I would say, if I'm being honest. Tell
Oh
us
no,
about. Tell
better
us
than my
about.
podcast, not y'all's. Y'all have to 200, man. Y'all are killing it. Y'all are
Yeah.
crushing it.
Tell us about the idea. Me and Blake have already we're on top of it. We've watched all the episodes. We love it so far. It's so it's you're really the content's great. You're super funny. Like the jokes are on top. It's not really a comedy
Oh,
video, but it's like
yeah.
there's comedy there. You're talking serious topics, but tell us where the idea came from, and plug the show, and then we'll get you out of here. I know you're trying
Oh,
to
thank you.
run.
No. I appreciate the kind words. It's a YouTube series called Not Your Friend. Specifically, I got really frustrated last year when I was seeing all the hype building around the Nintendo Switch 2 coming out and
Mhm.
the reveal of the Nintendo Switch 2, and I was very frustrated because I feel like a lot of large gaming media outlets just gonna give Nintendo a free pass for a lot of their really cruel, anti-fan policies the company has. So I wanted to create a Discord on that. I wanted to get people to talk about, hey, let's talk about the DMCA's they send out. Let's talk about the crappy Joy-Con controllers they released. Let's talk about the ways they shut down fan projects. And that's really where that project started came from is wanting to engage with people and Nintendo fans on that dialogue. And yeah, we're like seven or so, 6 or 7 episodes in right now. And I'm very, very grateful. The reception to it has been very just kind, and it's nice to see views going up and videos popping off and getting subscribers. But I will say, Blake and Andrew, I just want to tell y'all, I don't measure success in view count or
Mhm.
subs. I measure success in the interactions I have and the way that I make people feel and that content. And I think from that metric, y'all are killing it. I think your content is amazing. It's very sincere, it's very genuine. People tune into your Twitch streams or listen to your podcast because of the memories that it brings out in them. And I I've seen people that have big numbers on platforms like podcasts or YouTubes, but they hate what they do. They absolutely hate the content they make and they hate the things they talk about. And I'm like, I don't know why they do that. If your heart's not in it, then don't do that. So I just want to applaud what y'all do here and the kinds of passion that y'all bring to the table and your love for these games and sharing that love. My next episode is actually on games preservation and
Yep.
how important it is that we save old games and preserve them for future generations. And your podcast is one important way that that happens. And I just want to celebrate that and thank y'all for having me on and for letting me share my love for these games and hearing y'all share your loves for these games. It heals me in this really crappy, messed up world. These things heal me and keep me going. And yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna overshare here, but really one of the only reasons I was able to even start this YouTube channel was because I got laid off 3 months ago. I got laid off from my job, and my company said, "Hey, we want to make our stocks go up, so we're just going to lay off 1,000 people." And I was one of the names they pulled out of the hat.
Mhm.
And I was sitting around going, well, I could go back to the corporate rat race, or I could try to make YouTube work and try to make something else work. And that's what kicked my butt out of bed to make me really give this a try. So if you're out there and you're on the fence and you have a creative idea, I just want y'all to know, I want your listeners to know my door is always open. I always am happy to think tank. I'm always happy to brainstorm. I'm always happy to be an aid and support for that because we need more creativity on the internet. We need more fans and their passion. We need less corporate BS and more fan passion. So I
Mhm.
always want to be an advocate for that and support that. So thank y'all for what you do. Thank y'all for having me on. Let's hope that part 3 is worth celebrating. Like if we meet up next time and we're all just like, no, this is crap,
I would
then
be very upset if I'm.
yeah,
I think we did a good job not crapping on part two. I
yeah,
told Blake I spent double digits of hours mad at part two, but again, the side
yeah.
content. So I'm glad that this podcast did bring out. I glad this talk, and I wanted it to bring out all the positive of an incredible game that should have never existed. There's no
As soon
reason.
as I started talking about a mini game, you're like, we're not talking about bad
I
stuff.
know.
We're talking about good stuff.
Don't
But
talk
anyway,
about that frog mini game. Make it go away.
well, I guess with that, we're super always happy to have you on. Happy to talk to you. Loving. I don't want to spoil the videos for nobody. The YouTube channel is great. We love it. You do.
Shine a light where it needs to be shined.
That's yeah. But he does. I'll tell folks who listen, like if you click on this channel and in the channel, if it looks like Nintendo hate, watch the first video because Clyde leads with being he is a lifelong Nintendo fanboy and love Nintendo. That's where he starts the entire series, is telling you that he loves Nintendo and loves their games. So it comes from, it goes down bad, sad topics, I would feel like, but it starts from a place of love. And that's what I appreciate about that. If you're clicking random other videos, like this dude just freaking hates Nintendo, go to the very first thing and see where he starts. It comes from, me and Blake aren't as nice as he is when it comes to, on our podcast, we're like, the Switch sucks, man. Like if you want to play the worst version of a game, go play the Switch version. It's the worst version. We do that all the time. There's been how many Switch games on this podcast? Like 2. Like it's not like me and Blake are way meaner than he is about this, but he has a lot. Now we're just blowing smoke up your ass. But like, go to the first episode, watch where it's coming from with him, and then go into like he's not just picking on Nintendo. He's not just it's not like there's more to it than that.
Angry person.
Yeah. And most of it, you don't even seem mad in a lot of the videos. You're just like sharing what you've learned. It's been really interesting to watch. Learning stuff that I didn't know. A lot of the stuff I do know about Nintendo. I follow, like you, I follow the industry and how they handle this stuff. So I followed a lot of that, but it is interesting to learn things. And I think it's good for Nintendo fans to because you do, like you say, Nintendo does something crazy and everybody's like, it's fine. It's Nintendo. Like, no, it's not fine. Like, it's not okay. It's really not okay. So anyway, I don't want to go too much into that. We'll say we're loving the channel. Looking forward to all the
get
episodes.
y'all on it sometime. I'd love for y'all to record some memes with me. We could have some fun.
Just holler at us. We'll throw something together.
The best way I could think to describe it is it's a term I use all the time, and that you're like, I'm not mad Nintendo, but I'm disappointed.
Yeah.
It's like that old thing with your parents. You're not mad, you're just disappointed because you could be better.
It could be so much better all the time.
Yeah, 1,000,000%. And I think we get better if we hold them accountable and we talk about it.
And that's what these videos are for, to help show accountability.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
I'll have links to the show, of course, in the show notes for this, of course. And we're always promoting, always doing like that. I need to start. I don't know if you do much social media, even posting about it. I follow you on social media. I don't know if I need to follow your channel. Do you have specifically channel social medias that I need to be sharing?
I actually don't. And the reason I don't promote on Facebook at this point is because I wanted to just kind of see what would happen if I just put it just to Nintendo fans or just to like Nintendo gamers. And I felt like if I gave it to my friends and family, they would say like all the nice normal things. I'm like, let me try to just not do that. So I pinged it to y'all directly. I sent it to y'all directly because y'all are gamers, but I didn't post it publicly because I didn't want my dad to be like, "You're such a great YouTuber, good for you." And I'm like, "Oh, thanks, Dad.
That's not the type of. I need some actual.
I need constructive criticism.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
Anyway,
I will also say one last thing. I'll say is, I know we've gone way over.
It's fine. We're mostly worried about your time spent, not ours.
I appreciate you.
I got plenty of time.
I'm gonna grab lunch after this, but I actually this video that I have right now that's popping off, it's like at 8K views or something, or 10K views or something. I am telling you, like, just 2 weeks ago, I don't know if y'all saw, just 2 or 3 weeks ago, I was posting being like, does anybody care about this? Like, is this even worth my time? Like, I was spending 20 hours making videos, and then I'd release it and it would get like 20 views or 10 views. And I was like, I made a post in the community tab saying, I honestly don't know what I'm doing here. I don't know if this is worth my time. I just need some honest feedback. I got like 4 DMs or 5 DMs from people that had like huge YouTube channels that said, I believe in you. I believe in your content. Don't give up. Keep going. You will find an audience. Just try a little bit longer. So that's my message to anybody out there who's struggling with creativity, who's wondering, am I just spinning my wheels? My advice is learn and grow, but also be patient with yourself and just try and just keep trying and always use the resources you have out there. Hit me up for feedback. I'm always happy to give feedback if I can, but I had some very kind people just reach out to me, strangers on the internet that just were like, I don't know you from Jack down the street, but I believe in what you're saying, and I don't think you should give up just yet. And that's what kept me going for 2 more videos. And y'all saw the video on Sunday. I had never had a video hit 1K views, and now that video on Sunday is at like 8K or 9K or something. And it's like, all it takes is just one podcast episode, one video, the right message at the right time, and that can blow up. So my advice to people is show yourself patience. It doesn't happen quickly. You can be right on the edge of giving up, and then something good can happen. So my advice is just show that support to one another.
There's a statistic I remember hearing that like if you're a creative person, if you just keep creating, you're automatically doing better than 50% of the people that try, because most people quit.
Yeah, I think it's higher than that.
I think it's
most people quit. Yeah.
As long as you keep doing it, you're automatically doing better than at least 50% of the people that are trying.
I believe it.
Most of them quit or tried to, rather.
Well,
I believe it. Yeah, I'll think about how I want to work y'all into the games preservation episode, because I think your podcast is valuable, and I think it'd be great for people to hear about it and throw y'all some love.
If it ain't that one, if you need anything else, obviously down the road, we ain't got to be on that show. If you do anything else you got planned, we're always open to you.
When it comes to Nintendo that I have any sort of knowledge of, honestly, is Pokemon.
Yeah, Blake's Pokemon fanatic.
That's I get Mario and all that stuff. But all right. The only thing Nintendo stuff that I like have any knowledgeable speaking of is
Pokemon.
But Blake, I think if you choose Charmander, Squirtle, or Bulbasaur,
I'm a water starter for life.
He's a water starter for life.
Oh, we can't be friends, bro. I'm a Charmander main. No, I'm just kidding. We're still homies, but I am a team Charmander. I am always team Charmander.
I'm a water starter for anytime it's my first playthrough through a new Pokemon. It's always the water starter. Starter for life. I don't know why that just started, and I've always picked the water starters.
Well, thank y'all for having me on.
Thanks so much.
I freaking love y'all so much. You're the ultimate homies. Thank you so much again. Do y'all want to do your outro?
I haven't got anything. The one thing we normally do, we would announce what game is next. We did not think about that. We were too excited about this. We did not think about what game is next. So sorry, people who have gotten used to that that's been part of our quote unquote new format that ain't that great. But we like to announce our next game, but I don't know what it is.
The next game is TBA, to be announced.
Elden Ring. That's what the internet will tell you. Do play Elden Ring.
No, we're going to eventually, because we're playing, as our listeners know, we're playing, who knows why, we started the Dark Souls franchise backwards with our with our cousin Brian, who we stream with, our Twitch stream. We started with Dark Souls 3. Now we're playing Dark Souls 2. The plan is Dark Souls 2, Dark Souls 1, Demon Souls remake, and then whip all the way back around to Elden Ring at some point, because we're retarded.
Amazing.
And we're not doing Bloodborne.
We're not doing Bloodborne again, but
because we platinumed that out of spite. I won't do it again.
Dang, mad respect. I barely beat the main campaign. I didn't do the DLC, but
the DLC is an absolute nightmare in the Bloodborne.
Difficult.
Anyway, we got to get off this thing. So we ain't got a game for next. It's something we've played recently that we can barely remember, probably because we and Blake play too many video games. But it won't be another Final Fantasy, that's for sure. That's all I got. Thank you again, Clyde. We talk to you kind of regularly anyway, so we'll be seeing you again soon.
Big ups. Congratulations on the podcast, y'all. Talk to y'all soon, and thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. And I want to wish everybody a good evening and good night.